Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic story part 2. The fanfic title is What If Naruto Unlocked the Flying Thunder God Without Minato part 2. If you like this fanfic, don't forget to subscribe my channel. Now let's start the fanfics. Sasuke's eyes narrowed at this. Who exactly are you? Danzo chuckled evilly at this. Well boy, who I am, is on a need-to-know basis. However, I can offer you something you deeply desire. This caught Sasuke's attention. And what is that? He asked, not fully trusting the bandaged man. The power to kill your brother and avenge your clan. Danzo smirked, knowing that he was a part of his so-called evil brother's plot to kill the Uchiha. Of course Sasuke didn't need to know this. How exactly could someone like you give me power? Sasuke asked, referring to the old cripple's look. Well, I may not look like it, but I was a prime candidate for Sandaime Hokage. I also was in charge of a special group of Anbu, called Root. Danzo clarified, making the young Uchiha smirk. With a man who could have been Sandaime, he knew he could gain power. Now you cannot tell anyone of our meeting. You can tell me your decision in 2 months' time. Until then, here is a little present to sweeten the deal, the old war hawk said as he tossed a scroll to Sasuke. Sasuke looked over it once before a smirk plastered itself onto his face. Maybe this man can really give me the power I need. Team 7 was currently waiting for their tardy sensei to grace them with their presence. They were used to it as the Jonin was late for just about everything possible. Just as they thought that a puff of smoke erupted, alerting them to their sensei's arrival. Yo, he called, flashing them his eye smile. You're late. The 3 genin called in harmony. Kakashi just pulled out his book. While you see, I was on my way here when I saw a black cat run in front of me, under a ladder. I then decided to take the long way, not wanting to risk having bad luck. Kakashi explained, not once taking his eye off his book. Yeah right. Naruto called angrily. That's got to be the lamest excuse you've ever had. Sakura pointed out. Oh come on. I'm sure I've had lamer. What about that time where I claimed to have run into a witch and for her to have turned me into a lizard? Kakashi mused, causing his 3 genin to nod their heads in acknowledgement. Well, today I will be teaching you 3 a more advanced, B-ranked, jutsu. Kakashi explained, causing Sakura's eyes to widen, Kiba to smile broadly and Naruto to show no outward sign of emotion. However, on the inside he was beaming at the chance to learn a better jutsu. These jutsu will take a while to learn, much less master, but I'm confident they are within your abilities. Kiba, I will be teaching you the earth release, rock lodging destruction. This technique allows you to dislodge rocks above an opponent to crush, or capture them. He then showed Kiba the hand signs and pointed to a cliff for him to go practice at it. Naruto, the jutsu I will be teaching you is the wind release, wind dragon jutsu. As the name states, this jutsu allows the user to create a dragon made out of wind. After this he showed Naruto the hand seals and witnessed Naruto run off to learn his new technique. Sakura, I was originally planning on teaching you the water dragon, but I don't think you have the reserves to utilize it. Kakashi pondered on the question before finishing. Instead, I will be teaching you a jutsu you saw Zabuza use on me. It's called water release, water prison jutsu. It allows the caster to trap their victim in a dome of water. However, you have to always have one arm connected to maintain the prison. At this, Kakashi showed the pink-haired girl the seals before he looked up to see a bird flying overhead. Looks like it's that time of the year already, Kakashi thought as he disappeared in a plume of smoke. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In the Hokage's office, all of the Jonin senseis in the village seemed to be gathering for an important announcement. The announcement would have already started had it not been for a certain tardy Jonin who chose now to appear in the room via the body flicker. Did I miss anything? He asked innocently as he read his book titled, Ika Ika Paradise. Now that Kakashi is done making us wait, the Hokage cleared his throat. It is once again Konoha's turn to host the biannual Chunin selection exams. I have called you all here to ask if there is any in this room that believe their team is ready to participate in the exams. The Sandaime concluded. This caused all the Jonin to register their students until it came to a certain batch of students. Maida Guy stepped up the Hokage. I, Maida Guy, hereby recommend my Genin team consisting of Hyuga Neji, Rock Lee and Tenten to participate in this year's Chunin exams. Guy concluded, not mentioning youthfulness once. Next up was Asuma, much to the surprise of the other Jonin. It wasn't every day when rookies were recommended. I, Sarutobi Asuma, do hereby recommend my team consisting of Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru and Akamichi Choji to participate in the exams. The smoker finished as he took a long drag from his cigarette. Next Kurenai came up the desk, making some of the Jonin think there was some kind of competition going on between the rookies Jonin sensei. I, Yuhi Kurenai, hereby state that my team consisting of Hyuga Hinata, Uchiha Sasuke, and Aburame Shino are ready for this year's Chunin selection exam. Some of the Jonin nodded their heads at this, knowing that a team stacked with an Uchiha and a Hyuga was bound not to disappoint. Next the ever-lazy Kakashi stood up. I, Hitaki Kakashi, recommend my group of Genin consisting of Uzumaki Naruto, Inuzuka Kiba and Haruno Sakura to participate in the Chunin exams this year. He finished as he closed his book. Hearing this, Iruka stood up angrily. He had been getting steadily angrier as each rookie team was announced. Hold up. I taught most of these kids personally and I don't know if they're ready for the Chunin exams. They just graduated for God's sake. Iruka yelled, thinking of one student in peculiar. Kakashi merely looked at him indifferently. I became a Chunin when I was more than 4 years younger than Naruto, he went off. You can't compare him with yourself, Kakashi. Iruka started only for the masked Jonin to interrupt him. And besides, as soon as these 3 Genin became part of my team they are no longer your students, but my soldiers. I think I know if they are ready for this test, Iruka. The aged Hokage sighed at this, knowing the 2 men both had good points. Iruka, it is ultimately Kakashi's decision if he wants to admit his team into these exams. Now the rest of you are dismissed. Please train your teams and make Konoha proud. Sarutobi finished off strongly as his Jonin bowed and disappeared in puffs of smoke. I do hope the young Genin are ready for the task at hand. There hasn't been 3 rookie teams nominated for the Chunin exams since long before I was around. Sarutobi sighed as he took a long puff of his pipe. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Team 7 had just finished their training when Naruto offered going to Ikiruka's to celebrate their learning of advanced jutsu, his treat. Sakura and Kiba's eyes widened at this. It wasn't every day Naruto offered to treat somebody to ramen. On the way the 3 young Genin bumped into a certain group of academy students. Hey boss, you promised you would play ninja with us today. Konohamaru whined as he pleaded with his older brother figure. Naruto sighed at this. You're right, I did. Is it okay if I call a rain check about our ramen guys? Naruto turned to his teammates. Kiba nodded and Sakura turned to him. Whoever heard of a ninja playing ninja? She asked rhetorically. Konohamaru looked at her quizzically for a moment until he nodded in understanding. Hey boss, is that your girlfriend? He asked, pointing his thumb towards Sakura. No. Naruto and Sakura yelled at the same time. Udon whispered to Konohamaru and he giggled for a second until he turned back to the group. Well, that's good. I know you could do way better than this flat chest skank. He pointed out innocently. Sakura's eyes glowed white and a tick mark appeared on her head. What did you just say? She asked maliciously. Run. Kiba spewed out as the 3 young children took off in a cloud of dust, followed by an enraged Sakura and a sympathetic Naruto. Konohamaru continued to blindly run until he bumped into something hard, knocking him on the ground. Hey, watch where you're going. The man yelled as he picked up the young boy by his shirt. This man looked to be about Naruto's age and he seemed to be wearing a black jumpsuit with cat ears. He also seemed to have strange purple makeup on his face. Naruto couldn't help but notice a blonde beauty standing next to him. She wore a light purple shirt with a mesh top underneath it. She had a similar colored short skirt and had her dirty blonde hair tied up into 4 ponytails. What further intrigued Naruto was her large battle fan, signaling her as a wind user, much like our blonde hero. Kankuro, put him down before you get in trouble. Especially if he finds out. She seemed afraid at the mention of this certain he. Don't worry Tamari, I'm just going to teach the brat a little respect. And by the way, Gaara isn't even around here. He turned to see a pink-haired girl arrive with a blonde-haired boy. They seem to be around his age. Please let him go. We were just roughhousing and I am sorry he bumped into you. Sakura pleaded as Konohamaru struggled against the hold of the much stronger person. I don't think so. What are you going to do about it? Kankuro mocked. I advise you set down the Hokage's grandson before you cause an international crisis. It's not wise to upset the leaders of allied countries. Naruto pointed out, causing Kankuro to drop the now identified Hokage's son in shock. Good going you baka. The blonde-haired girl yelled at her seemingly teammate. Your friend also doesn't look too pleased with you. Naruto pointed to a redhead standing upside down from a tree. At the mention of said friend, both Suna Nin turned to see the red-headed boy. They both then seemed to take a step back in fear. He was wearing a plain black shirt with a mesh shirt underneath. He had on a brown sash over this and he finished the look with black baggy pants. What was most peculiar was the large gourd that was strapped on his back. He also seemed to scare the crap out of his teammates. Kankuro, you are an emberman to Suna. Gaara stated in a monotone voice as he appeared in between of his 2 teammates. I apologize for my brother's idiocy. He can be rather thoughtless at times. Naruto seemed shocked that siblings would treat each other with such fear and coldness. It's no problem. What are you doing in Konoha anyway? Naruto asked, generally curious. Tamari took the liberty to answer. Why, the Chunin exams, of course. She answered with a smirk. Naruto couldn't help but stare at the natural beauty standing in front of him. Seeing him stare, the Suna Nin had to fight down a blush at the rather attractive blonde checking her out. I see. What are your names? Naruto asked, not having been formally introduced. Kankuro started only for Naruto to interrupt. Not you, I was talking about your lovely sister and your rather cold brother. At this the blonde looked rather surprised, having never really been flirted with before. No one really wanted to be OCIATED with anyone related to Gaara, not that she could blame them. Gaara answered first. My name is Sabuku no Gaara. This is my sister Tamari. What are your names? He asked. Naruto couldn't shake the feeling that this guy was more than meets the eyes. Something about him seemed familiar yet at the same time absolutely terrifying. My name is Uzumaki Naruto and this is my teammate Haruno Sakura. Naruto answered, trying to calm himself down. Gaara was also interested in the blonde. He would prove his existence and please his mother very well. I look forward to facing you in the exams. With this he turned and motioned for his siblings to follow suit. The blonde girl, Tamari, winked at Naruto and turned around. Do you think Kakashi-sensei will enter us in the exam? Sakura asked. I don't know. I would guess he would though, seeing how we have completed the minimum amount of missions and he just recently sprung a B-ranked jutsu on us. Naruto reasoned as he waved goodbye to his teammate and walked home. He couldn't stop thinking about the 3 strange Suna Nin he had just met. If it was intoxicating blonde girl, the easily angered black-clad boy or the red-headed boy he didn't know. He thought the redhead seemed to have a certain bloodthirsty quality. All in all, Naruto knew this was not a team to be messing with. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The next day the 3 genin arrived at their training field to surprisingly see their sensei on time. They didn't question it though, not wanting it to become some kind of illusion. Good morning, team. I'm proud to announce that I have nominated you all in the upcoming Chunin exams. Kakashi handed the three the forms. He noticed Kiba seemed to be happier than usual, Naruto seemed to be excited, and Sakura seemed a tad bit unsure of herself. This is not required, and not all three of you have to show up. If you do plan on going, please report to the Academy Room 301 tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Naruto looked disappointed, most likely in the fact that he had yet to learn how to effectively use his new jutsu. Of course, Kakashi hadn't expected him to, considering it had only been one day. He then smiled at his team and gave them the day off, disappearing in a puff of smoke. Naruto, Kiba and Sakura walked home, all wondering what the future would hold for them. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Naruto woke up early the next morning, too excited to sleep in. He quickly finished his morning rituals and made his way to the academy. On the way, he met up with his two teammates, smiling at them as they joined him in his walk. So you guys are doing it? Naruto asked. Course I am. Was there ever a doubt? Kiba challenged Aili, while Sakura just nodded her head as they made their way to the academy. They walked up 2 flights of stairs when they saw a group of genin surrounded a door labeled 301. Sakura immediately realized it was a genjutsu, due to only have tracked 2 sets of stairs. She silently asked her team if they should bring that fact out into the open. She saw Kiba shake his head. No, as they proceeded up to the 3rd floor, barely missing the commotion a certain Uchiha was about to cause. They arrived at the door labeled 301 and were surprised to see their sensei standing there lazily reading his book. Glad to see you all made it, otherwise none of you could have taken the test. Kakashi explained as the 3 genin all looked unsure about this. What do you mean? You said it was an individual thing. Kiba inquired. I said that because I didn't want anyone pestering another to participate. I wanted you all to choose to on your own free will. I'm proud to say you have all taken your first step into these exams. Don't take them lightly, as there is almost certainly going to be killing involved. I believe in you and please make me proud. Kakashi finished as he led his 3 genin into the door. He was about to warn them not to bring too much attention onto himself when he decided against it. Naruto, he called as his student turned around. Give them hell. Naruto grinned at this and made his way into the room. The 3 genin were surprised at the sheer number of people in the small room. They looked around for a bit until they spotted Shikamaru's team. Hey Shika, Naruto called affectionately towards the lazy brunette. Troublesome, you guys are in this exam too? Shikamaru asked. Yeah, we are, and we're going to take this exam by storm. Kiba yelled as Akamaru roughed in agreement. Sakura merely nodded her head while Naruto decided to speak up. You hear that, everyone? There's no way you're going to beat us. Naruto yelled, causing the rest of the room to glare at him. Naruto merely shrugged off the ki, after all Zabuzas had been much worse. Soon enough Team 8 walked in and Sasuke appeared to have recently been in a fight. Sasuke-kun, you made it. Ino yelled as she groped the brooding Uchiha. Sakura glared at the offender. Knock it off, Ino, pig, Sasuke-kun is mine. She yelled. Naruto and Kiba sighed at this. They had thought her fangirl days were over. You guys made it too? Kiba asked towards the shy Hyuga and quiet Aburame. Indeed. Our sensei nominated us to participate in this exam. The quiet boy muttered, causing Shikamaru to groan out, troublesome. As the rookies were talking, an older-looking man wearing a set of purple clothes walked up. You rookies may want to keep it down. It seems you have made a lot of enemies. The 9 genin looked around to see the rest of the room glaring at them, however a certain sand team seemed to be indifferent about the whole thing. They all shrugged sheepishly, while all of them expect for the ever quiet Shino and Sasuke. Who are you? Naruto asked. My name is Kabuto. I've taken this exam a fair amount of times. How many is that? Choji asked through a mouthful of chips. 7 to be exact. The glees-wearing man replied. You must suck. Kiba put it bluntly. Well, you'd be surprised how hard these exams can be. But it isn't all bad, as I've been able to collect a lot of information from my ninja info cards. Do you care to know anything about anyone participating? Kabuto asked. Sasuke was the first to voice his suggestion. Rock Lee of Konoha. Naruto soon followed. And that team from Suna. Kabuto merely scoffed. You know their names. That's too easy. He shuffled through his cards until pulling out one and adding chakra to it to show a picture of Lee. Rock Lee is a genin 1 year older than you guys. His mission record is 31 D ranks and 13 C ranks. Wow. His taijutsu is off the charts while his nin and genjutsu are non-existent. He finished, causing Sasuke to frown. Let's see. Oh, here we go. The Suna team consists of Sabuku no Tamari, Sabuku no Gaara and Sabuku no Kankuro. It says here they are the Casecage's kids. As a team they have completed 13 C-rank missions and WoW 1B ranked. As individuals it says that Tamari specializes in wind ninjutsu, using her fan to project wind attacks at her opponents. Kankuro seems to be a puppeteer, using advanced chakra control to control his puppet. The third one, Gaara, doesn't seem to have any information, although it says he's returned from all of his missions unscratched. Kabuto took a breath. That is a very impressive record. They seem to be one of the top teams in this exam. Naruto was inwardly impressed at the record of the Suna team. Especially considering the redhead hadn't even gotten a scratch. Who are those people over there with the musical notes on their heads? Ino asked with surprise. Oh, those. Well, they aren't anything to worry about. They are from a new village called Otogakure, the village hidden in the sounds. The village is fairly new, so I wouldn't worry about them all too much. Kabuto finished as he noticed the sound genin charging him. He smirked as he dodged a punch aimed at him from the bandaged nin and smirked at the effortless dodge. His eyes widened when all of a sudden his glees broke and he landed on his hands and knees and puked. That will teach you to badmouth Oto. A brown-haired girl growled and another boy was about to continue until the doors busted open, revealing a group of chunin with a man wearing a black trench coat in the middle. He had a bandana-style headband and had numerous scars running down the length of his face. There will be no fighting before the exam. Do you want to get disqualified, Oto Genin? He asked in a deadly voice as he flooded the room with his killing intent. The Oto Genin gulped and the seemingly leader answer. No sir. I'm sorry, we just get riled up when agitated. He explained as the proctor blew his excuse off. Now everyone please line up in single-filed lines and take a number out of this box. This will be the seat you are ignited to. After the scarred special Jonin said this, the genin all followed suit and were soon in their respective seats. Naruto noted his was right next to Hinata's. My name is Morino Ibiki. Okay, you little worms, this is the first exam of the Chunin exams and it's going to be a written test. As he said this, he heard loud groans coming from all but a certain pinkett and pineapple-haired genin. Quiet. As I was saying, this test will have a total of 10 questions. Each person will start out with 10 points and will be deducted 1 point for each question they get wrong. If you are caught cheating, you will automatically be deduced 2 points. That means if you are caught 5 times, you and your team is out. You have 45 minutes to complete the first 9 questions, and the last question will be given when there are 15 minutes left. Now I wish you all good luck. You are going to need it. The intimidating proctor murmured the last part as all the young ninja started vigorously working on their test. Sakura wasn't worried. She knew she could probably get enough points to pee even if either of her teammates screwed it up. Oh, and by the way, if any of you or your teammates gets a 0, you automatically fail. Ibiki growled out as the young genin looked shocked. Kiba and Naruto couldn't shake the feeling someone was glaring a hole in the back of their heads. Naruto looked over the questions, trying to find at least one he could answer. Darn it. These questions are impossible. I can't fail though, otherwise I'll hold Kiba and Sakura back too, maybe if I cheat. But wait, then I could get marked 2 points down, the blonde Jinchuriki thought with a frown. Then it hit him. 2 points. Every time I've ever taken a test, if you got cheating, you'd automatically fail, and these questions seem way too hard for anyone but maybe Sakura to answer. I get it. We have to cheat. Naruto mentally patted himself on the back at this conclusion. He heard a few barks and figured Kiba had caught on as well. He lazily yawned and stretched his vision to see various other members cheating as well. His only problem was he didn't have a special bloodline or even a jutsu that would help him cheat. He immediately browsed his brains for ideas and was surprised when he heard a low whistle and turned to see a kunai impale the person sitting in front's paper. Number 43, fail. Numbers 44 and 45, fail. The proctor called out as the genin yelled in outrage, only to be silenced with a concentrated burst of killing intent. Naruto gulped. He'd have to cheat stealthily. Unfortunately, he was more of a run-in and kick-ass type of guy, maybe a shadow clone. He quickly threw that idea out as the proctors would see the puff of smoke. Hundreds of ideas soared through his head, all being thrown out, in the next 40 minutes. He causally glanced at the clock to see there was only 3 minutes left until the final question. Crap, he'd have to put it all on the final question. Anyo, Naruto-kun. You can copy off of my test. The timid girl sitting next to him whispered. He was surprised the Hyuga heiress would do that for him. He was going to say yes when he remembered what would happen if he got caught. It's fine, Hinata. What kind of Hokage would I be if I needed to copy someone else's answers? He responded with his foxy grin, making Hinata turn a deep red. He was surprised at this and ideally wondered if the Hyuga was sick. He was interrupted from his musing when Ibiki cleared his throat. All right, worms, it's time for the final question. Now this question is completely optional, meaning you can back out now. Ibiki started, letting the statement set in. Well, why wouldn't we take it? That would be stupid. Tamari pointed out. Under normal circumstances it would, but should you choose to not take it, you will automatically fail, and can try again in 6 months. Should you take it, and fail, you will not only be failed along with your teammates, but you will never be able to take these exams again. The sadist finished with a malicious grin. That's bull. There are plenty of people who have taken it several times. Kiba accused, thinking of Kabuto, who had apparently taken it 7 times. Well, tough luck. This year it's my rules. That was all Ibiki replied. After these words, people began raising their hands like crazy. Soon the room was half of the normal capacity. Naruto knew he wouldn't back down from this but was slightly worried about his teammates. He glanced over to see not only Sakura preparing to raise her hand but inwardly noted that Tamari was thinking about it as well before a resolve set on her face and she put it down. Naruto decided it was time to make a stand. He slowly rose his hand up. No way. Naruto is backing down. Sakura thought worriedly. What? Why would he back down so early? Was he all talk? The Sand Maiden thought, with a hint of worry. She continued to watch only for Naruto to slam his palm onto his desk with a look of renewed vigor upon his face. You don't scare me. There's no way I am going to fail this after coming so far. Even if I stay a genin forever, I'm still going to become Hokage. The blonde yelled with complete confidence in his statement. Ibiki blinked and rubbed his eyes, seeing an image of his late leader standing besides the blonde. Nice talk, kid, but is there anyone else here that wants to back down? Ibiki inwardly cursed, seeing no one else raise their hands. This kid sure would make a fine leader. Well then, to the rest of you, UP. His words seemed to lighten at this. What was the point of the last question then? Or even the first 9? Sakura yelled, angry at having all her time wasted. That's easy. Sometimes as a chunin there are times where you are given a mission, not knowing much information at all. He started as he slowly took of his bandana, revealing very harsh-looking scars. He saw looks of disgust flash through the remaining genins' faces. But can you simply not do it? The answer is hell no. You can't refuse the mission. To answer your other question, the first 9 questions were to test your information gathering skills. Those were questions mere genin shouldn't be able to answer. We had placed 4 plants stationed across the room, already knowing the answers to the test. Your job was to get the answers without getting caught. Sometimes information can be more valuable than anything else. Ibiki finished as he pointed at his scared visage. He then sighed as he felt a familiar signature approaching. All of a sudden a small ball crashed through the window with a sign attached to it. The sign read, Mitarashi Anko, the Y and single proctor of the second exam. Soon enough a very Y-looking woman appeared through the same window. She wore, or didn't wear, it was kind of like looking at a GL half empty or half full, a tight mesh top going down to her legs, and this was covered by a very short brown pair of shorts. She topped it off with a long trench coat that went to her knees. Somehow it always covered her, ETS, perfectly. Welcome maggots. She started only to look at the room for a second. 26 teams. You must be getting soft in your old age, Ibiki. Anko scoffed at the amount of people. Or perhaps we just have an exceptional batch this year. Ibiki reasoned. Either way, I'll cut them down by at least half. The purple-haired woman grinned as she continued, now meet me at training ground 44 in 30 minutes, and don't be late. She yelled as she disappeared in a puff of smoke. Naruto gulped, not knowing if he should be attracted the woman or absolutely terrified of the woman. He decided on the latter. He soon got up and followed his team out the door. Ibiki was walking around the room collecting tests when he stopped at a certain blonde-haired boy's desk. Are you joking me? He didn't even answer a single question. Just who are you, Uzumaki Naruto? Team 7 soon arrived at training ground 44, nicknamed the Forest of Death. They saw the rest of the teams had already arrived and waited patiently until the crazy proctor arrived. Good to see you all made it. As you probably already know, my name is Mitarashi Anko. I will be in charge of this part of the exam. This next part will be survival training. Literally. Most of the genin visibly shook at this mere word, the tone behind it seemed deadly. Each of you will start out with one scroll. A heaven or an earth. The purple-haired woman said as she held up one of each. The goal is to get the opposite scroll in any way possible. This, of course, includes killing. Now will you all please sign a release form stating that if you die it was your own fault. The tone the strange woman used in her voice seemed almost innocent, almost. Naruto walked into the booth with his team and they were handed an earth scroll. So we need a heaven scroll, huh? Anko then gave each team a different gate to start at. When they were all situated properly she yelled over the loudspeakers. Begin. As soon as that word uttered from her mouth the gates flew open as dozens of genin darted in, ready for anything. Asterisk 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 asterisk. So what's the plan? Ino asked towards her lazy teammate. Well, I guess we should probably get a earth scroll. Shikamaru mused out loud, causing Ino to twitch. Of course we need an earth scroll, you baka. I meant, how are we going to get one? She screamed as she flailed her arms. Well, first things first. I don't think we should attack any of the other rookies, or the team 1 year ahead of us. And definitely not the Suna Nin. Shikamaru explained. Well, I get why we wouldn't go after Team 8 because they have Sasuke-kun and 2 other clan heirs, but why wouldn't we go after Forehead's team? They seem to have the weakest of all the teams. Ino offered. Choji shook his head at this and spoke through a mouthful. They have the Hitaki Kakashi as their sensei, they are bound to learn something. It's troublesome, but I agree with Choji. They are one of the last teams I want to fight. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Naruto, Kiba and Sakura jumped through the trees at breakneck speeds. Kiba led the way using his nose and Akamaru to try and spot any other teams. They so far hadn't had any luck. Man, where is everyone else? Naruto whispered in an annoyed tone. Heck if I know. We are bound to run into someone, Sakura countered. Kiba took a long whiff and silently signaled to move into the trees. They weren't disappointed when they saw the Suna Nin being confronted by ninja from Rain. If you will just give us your scroll, no one will get hurt. The leader tried to reason with the young kids. He only got a glare courtesy of the redhead in front of him. Well, don't say I didn't warn you. He then untied his umbrella from his back and threw it up in the air, only for it to sprout thousands of needles and for them to fly directly at Gaara. "Ha, not so tough now, are you?" When the smoke cleared, he saw a completely unharmed Gaara surrounded by a wall of sand. "Is that all you got? You bore me." At this, Gaara raised his hand forward as a large column of sand shot out at the three rain nin. It quickly wrapped around their karses. Sand coffin. The deranged redhead then clenched his fist as the sand squeezed the life out of the three rain nin in a very gory fashion. Sand burial. Naruto silently signaled for his team to retreat as they took off full speed, hoping to get as far away from that guy as possible. When Naruto thought they were far enough away, he took a break and held himself up with his knee panting. "Guys, if either of you has to fight that guy in the finals, give up," Naruto stated through pants. He wasn't sure he would even want to fight that guy. That guy was a monster. Sakura shivered out. "Yeah," Akamaru was whimpering the entire time. "That guy is not someone I'd like to fight," he agreed to the statement. "It looks like we've been found out," Naruto pointed out as a group of rather weak-looking ninja jumped out. They each appeared to be in their mid-20s. The first one looked to be a man with an average build. He seemed to be about 5 feet 9, with dark brown hair and his headband tied around his bicep. He carried a long spear on his back. The second was an enormous man with a pair of giant gauntlets looking to be made out of steel. He was bald and wore his headband as a bandana. The third member was an average-looking girl with light red hair tied into a ponytail. She appeared to wield a ninja too. "Give up now or we might just hurt you," the first man piped up. "Yeah, or else we might kill you," the larger man finished. "How do you even know we have the scroll you want?" Sakura asked questionably. "Well, we don't, but either way we might as well get rid of the competition," the larger man yelled again, causing Sakura to scoff at the apparent lack of a plan. "I'll take the blonde pipsqueak." Soon enough he charged said blonde and tried to punch him, only for Naruto to flip over the punch and land a roundhouse kick onto his opponent's kick. He smirked at his opponent's apparent lack of any common sense. "No wonder you're still a genin, you suck," Naruto pointed out, trying to egg his opponent on. "Why, you little brat." He then formed a set of hand seals and called out, "Water release. Water drill jutsu." After the large man said this, a speedy bullet made out of water went flying towards Naruto, who quickly after regaining his bearing dodged and sent a trio of shuriken at the larger man. The giant just merely blocked them with his gauntlet, only for one of them to poof into a Naruto clone who delivered a jab at his neck, effectively knocking him out. Kiba was left facing the smaller man who used a spear for a weapon. "Come on, let's see what you got." He then raced through some hand signs. "Earth release. Earth spear jutsu." With this call, Kiba reached his hand into the ground and pulled a long spear made of earth. "You think you can beat me at my own game?" the man taunted as he lunged towards the younger boy, taking advantage of his longer reach to quickly try and hit Kiba with the flat end of his spear. Expecting this, Kiba dodged to the side and quickly slashed at his enemy's face with his claws. The older man barely dodged and they continued trading blows with their spears until the older man began a long set of hand signs. Kiba didn't want to see the end of this set of hand seals, so he quickly nodded his head as there was a loud call of, "Fang over fang," as Akamaru come crashing into the spear-wielding man, knocking him out cold. Sakura was staring down his opponent, looking for weaknesses. "You aren't a real ninja. I bet you care more about your hair than you do about your training," the older woman mocked, causing Sakura to growl. She then remembered her training and started a set of seals. Water release. Bullet jutsu. She then took a big breath as she exhaled a bullet of water, ramming right into the torso of her opponent. The sword wielder was caught off guard at the sudden attack and was sent flying into the nearby river. She then noticed the water seemed to become heavier as she heard Sakura mutter, "Water release, water prison jutsu." She was then caught in a dome of chakra. She knocked the older woman out and returned to her teammates. "Hey guys, I found a heaven scroll." Kiba yelled in joy as he showed his team the acquired scroll. He smirked at the ease of this exam so far. Maybe if the older team hadn't been so overconfident they would still be fighting. As he went over this in his head, he was completely unaware of the trouble Team 8 was currently in. Sweet. Let's head to the tower now. Naruto chirped happily as Sakura tied up the 3 other genin. They were soon traveling through the forest at blinding speeds as they tried to make it to the tower without being noticed. Man, why can't you just jump us there? An annoyed Kiba grumbled out. It's not that easy. The only places I can jump are places I've been or can see, Naruto explained, earning him another groan from the bored Inuzuka. Naruto suddenly stopped on the tree, causing Sakura to bump into him and Kiba to quickly plant his feet in the tree. Why did we? Sakura started. She looked on in shock when 2 dark-clad figures emerged from the shadows. Naruto quickly reached for a kunai. Who are you? The larger man removed his hat, revealing blue shark-like skin and gills. He also had razor-sharp teeth. The second man removed his hat to reveal raven-colored hair tied into a short ponytail with a fully mature red Sharingan. He also had 2 distinctive lines under his eyes. My name is Uchiha Itachi, and my partner is Hoshigaki Kisame. I'll give you one chance to come with us now and nobody will get hurt. The 2 figures wore black cloaks going down to their knees with red clouds on them. Anko was happily munching on a stick of dango, dangling her legs off the side of a rock. She finished the stick and threw it into a tree, finishing up a perfect leaf symbol made of dango sticks. Perfect. Anko chirped happily as 3 chunin ran up, causing her to frown. What? Anko, come quick. We've found dead bodies outside of the forest. One of the chunin yelled through pants. So, killing is allowed, remember? Anko questioned, clearly annoyed. Yes, but you have to see this. Their faces are just melted off. The other chunin sounded frantic, so Anko decided to take it seriously and followed him. When they arrived, she saw there were 3 nin that seemed to have their faces literally melted off. This can't be. These genin were in the exam earlier. She seemed lost in thought before her eyes widened to the size of dinner plates. He's here. She seemed to spit this so-called he out before she took off at a dead sprint towards the forest of death. Wait, who is he? The chunin asked, bewildered at the frenzied state of the snake mistress. Orochimaru. That was all she said in return, causing the chunin to shiver as he went to report to the Hokage about this crisis. Anko arrived at the front gate of the forest to see a tall man wearing a green shirt and pants with mesh items underneath. He had a long red coat with an enormous scroll on his back. He also had strange red-like marks going down from his eyes and a headband that had the kanji for oil on it. Jiraiya-sama. Anko sputtered out, surprised that the Sannin was here. Jiraiya merely nodded. You didn't think I'd let you take on Orochimaru on your own, did you? I didn't know you were back in the village. The snake mistress questioned. Well, there are really a couple of reasons I'm back, and finding out that Orochi Tem is here was just a plus. The toad sage shrugged as the 2 warriors took off into the forest, intent on finding the traitorous snake Sannin. Asterisk 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 asterisk. You look just like Sasuke. Naruto pointed a finger accusingly at the older Uchiha. Ah, so you've met my foolish little brother, have you? Itachi asked in a monotone voice. Realization seemed to draw on Sakura's face. You're the one who killed the Uchiha clan. You're the person Sasuke-kun wants to kill. Sakura accused. That is correct. This was all the homicidal Uchiha said in return. Can we just get on with this and kill them already? Kisame asked, clearly annoyed that no blood had been shed as of now. I told you, we cannot kill the Jinchuriki. Itachi stated, causing Naruto's eyes to widen and his 2 teammates to look around confused. Naruto was shocked someone else outside his village knew about his status as the Kyuubi's container. Kiba growled and looked down to see Akamaru whimpering in fear. What is it, boy? Kiba asked as the dog yipped out something. Wait, what do you mean these guys are too strong for us to take? The Inuzuka asked with shock. It seems your canine friend might be smarter than the rest of you. Kisame mocked. Naruto, hearing enough of this, charged forward with surprising speed and attempted to jab at the Rouge Uchiha, only for him to casually catch the attack and backhand Naruto in one move. The blonde was sent flying into a tree. You are weak. Itachi closed his eyes as he seemed to concentrate, and when he opened them the tree tome morphed into a tri-tipped shuriken. Itachi then pointed at Naruto. Uchiha forced look. With this Naruto found it impossible not to look into the older ninja's strange eyes. Tsukiyomi. Once that word was muttered from his mouth everything went from bad to worse. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Naruto woke up in a strange black and red world. He was apparently tied to a cross. What the hell? Naruto tried to focus and jump out but found it impossible. He then tried to undo the knots himself. Attempting to free yourself is pointless. You are in my world now. I control everything, everybody. Now for the next 72 hours you will witness your worst nightmare, over and over again. After he said this he disappeared in a swirl of black mist and was replaced with a group of people. These people were people that Naruto knew very well. Demon, I can't believe I let you graduate. Iruka scoffed and kicked Naruto in the gut, hard. Naruto didn't let out a single groan. He knew it was an illusion, but that didn't change how much it hurt to see Iruka do this to him. Iruka's form morphed into that of Kakashi's. You killed my sensei. I can't believe you were allowed to live, you demon spawn. With this the scarecrow stabbed Naruto with one of his rakiris. Naruto this time let out a loud scream. The pain of the lightning was excruciating, but what hurt worse was the fact it was Kakashi sensei that stabbed him. Next Kakashi's form changed into Haku's. I knew you were a demon as soon as you used that red chakra on the bridge. Then the girl stabbed him with an ice sword. Naruto was now letting his tears fall freely. He couldn't even tell if he was in an illusion anymore. Haku took the form of the third Hokage. I can't believe I even let you live this long. There is no way a demon like you could ever become Hokage. With that he stabbed Naruto in the gut with a sword, he then twisted it and mercilessly pulled it out. Naruto was now sobbing openly. Deep in Naruto's mind a pair of crimson-red eyes snapped open. Uchiha. Itachi was just about to change the form into the Yondaime when all of a sudden red chakra seemed to explode out from the blonde. The red chakra seemed to overwhelm everything in sight until finally Itachi looked up to find himself face to face with a being he'd only heard about in legends. An accursed meat sack like you dare show your face in my home. Not even your eye jutsu can save you from me now. The Kyuubi seemed to wreak fear and malicious as Itachi tried desperately to cancel the jutsu. Fool, you cannot escape, you are in my world now. The evil creature then lunged forward as Itachi made a last-ditch effort to escape. Back in the real world Kisame was waiting as he saw the blonde get trapped in Itachi's Tsukiyomi. He then knew it was over for the young demon container. He was shocked when not a second later red chakra exploded out of the young boy as Itachi stumbled backwards. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Jiraiya was not having a good day. First of all, Sarutobi had opted to make him cancel his research early today. Secondly, he had found out that Orochimaru was back in the village and now he was on his way to pursue and possibly eliminate him. He stopped dead in his track when he felt an all too familiar burst of evil chakra. Anko stopped as well. Is that the Anko started, only for Jiraiya to cut her off mid-sentence. Yes. That's the Kyuubi's chakra. I'm leaving it up to you to find Orochimaru. 5 squads of Anbu will be with you shortly. I am going to find Naruto. Jiraiya was about to take off when he turned back to Orochimaru's former apprentice. And Anko, whatever you do, do not engage Orochimaru. That is an order. The Toad Sage commanded, earning him a nod from the scanty-clad women. He then took off towards the area where the Kyuubi's chakra had been accessed. Please be alright, Naruto. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Kisame was shocked to see someone actually escape his partner's supposedly unbeatable technique. He'd never actually been in it, but he had heard enough stories to know he never would want to. He growled at the three genin. You brats are dead. Kisame charged at the three genin only to stop as he saw a shadow steadily getting larger and larger. He quickly jumped out of the way as a MIV toad landing in between him and his three targets. On the top of the toad stood none other than Jiraiya of the Sannin in one of his obscene stances. I am the protector of good, the person men want to be. I am the person women want to be with. I hail from Mount Myobuku. I am the great and gallant toad sage, Jiraiya. The man made his interesting introduction utilizing some bizarre dance moves. Ha, this guy shouldn't be so tough, Itachi. Kisame smirked at the strange man. Akatsuki, what exactly are you doing here so early? The white-haired man sounded slightly worried. That's none of your business. Although if your village security didn't suck so bad, maybe we wouldn't be here. Kisame explained. Kisame, we must retreat. We are no match for a Sannin with me in this condition. Itachi removed his hand from his eyes to show blood seeping out of his eye sockets. Kisame's eyes widened in shock as they both disappeared in simultaneous puffs of smoke. Jiraiya, seeing the enemies were gone, turned to the three genin. He saw Kiba trying to calm a whimpering Akamaru and Sakura trying to care for an unconscious Naruto. Who are you? Kiba called as he reached for a kunai. Don't worry. I am a friend. As I said earlier, I am Jiraiya of the Sannin. This caused the two conscious genins to gawk at the presence of such a powerful ninja. Who were the other two guys? Well, we know their names, but what did they want? Kiba asked. Well, those two were Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame. They are both SCL missing ninja, wanted for various crimes. Trust me, those two are not people you want to be dealing with. They work for a group of SCL criminals called Akatsuki. Jiraiya explained. This caused the two genin's eyes to widen in shock. SCCL. What do they want with Naruto? Kiba yelled. That is something you are going to have to ask him yourself. Now do you have both scrolls? Jiraiya asked. Yes. Sakura nodded in response. Good. Then I'll escort you three to the tower. Jiraiya finished. Knowing if he was to leave, there was a good chance Itachi and Kisame would show up and grab the downed Jinchuriki. Unknown to them, Naruto was currently talking to one of the most powerful beings in existence. Drip, drip, drip. Naruto bolted awake at the sound of dripping and he looked confusedly around as he saw he was in a sewer. Man, what the hell happened to me? He thought as he rubbed his head. All of a sudden the day's events flooded his head. How did I escape the Tsukuyomi or whatever the name was? Naruto wondered. He looked up to see two pipes, one red and one blue. The blue one was significantly smaller than the red one. The blonde Jinchuriki was all of a sudden unable to think about what he was doing, and before he knew it he was walking deeper into the sewer. He continued to go deeper and deeper until he saw an enormous gate stretching up farther than he could see. The gate seemed to be held together by a single piece of paper with the kanji for seal on it. What the? Naruto asked to seemingly no one. All of a sudden a low rumble boomed across the entire area. So my miserable container finally decides to visit me. A MIV pair of red eyes snapped open as Naruto found that he was face to face with the Kyuubi no Kitsune. You're the Kyuubi, aren't you? Naruto accused, causing the MIV beast to snort. No, you insignificant whelp, I'm the other 100-meter-foot fox trapped inside your gut, you pitiful mortal. Of course I'm the Kyuubi. The fox mocked the young boy. All of a sudden a look of shock crossed Naruto's handsome visage. You're the one who broke me out of the Tsukuyomi, why? Ha ha ha. You think I did that to help you? I did that so I could devour the accursed Uchiha. The Kyuubi roared out. Naruto was now scared shitless, but pressed on anyways. Well, why wouldn't my jumping ability work? Because when you were in the Tsukuyomi he was controlling your mind. You couldn't use your genetic abilities. The beast explained, causing Naruto to scrunch his nose in thought. Genetic ability? What do you mean? He asked with a frown. That, jumping, or whatever ridiculous name you've given it. The Kyuubi explained. Obviously he thought Naruto would have known this. Wait, So there were others like me? Naruto questioned with wide eyes. Of course there were, you foolish mortal. The teleporting you are able to do was a genetic gene ped down every 10 generations in your family. Of course you weren't the 10th. The Miv Fox seemed to be angry at the mention of this. What do you mean? You just said that it only came around every 10 generations, and wait, if I wasn't, who was? Naruto asked. Your foolish father was the 10th. Although the trait never developed in him, and he was deeply angry at this. This is why he tried to create an artificial version of the technique, using seals and kunai. He succeeded and developed a jutsu that allowed him to throw a kunai and instantly appear wherever he had thrown it. It was called the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Kyuubi finished. Wait, you knew my father? Naruto pondered for a second until a flash of realization hit him. Flying Thunder God, wait, wasn't that the name of the Yondaime's prized jutsu? He pulled out his hair in frustration before his anger was quickly replaced by shock. The Yondaime was my dad. Naruto gasped. Of course that flesh bag was your father. Now you bore me. Leave now. With that, the Kyuubi let out a miv roar as Naruto was sent flying out of his subconscious. With Anko. Kukuku Anko-chan, it's been far too long. Orochimaru chuckled at the sight of his former apprentice. Not long enough. Anko hissed out as she sent a batch of shadow snakes at the older ninja. Orochimaru merely effortlessly dodged the attack and appeared behind the special Jonin. My, you seem awfully hostile today, Anko-chan. I do hope that you aren't still upset that I have no use of you anymore. Orochimaru pondered, causing Anko to growl and attempt to elbow him, only for the Rouge Sannin to block the elbow and twist Anko so she was facing him. Tisk. Tisk, Anko-chan. Don't worry, I am not here for you. The pale man smirked. Then who are you after, Orochi Tem? Anko grunted through clenched teeth. Well, I have marked a certain boy who intrigues me. I will warn you though, Anko-chan. Do not stop the Chunin exams or Konoha will burn to the ground. With that, the Rouge Snake sunk into the ground and Anko growled in anger. How is it our strength is still leaps and bounds apart? Anko wondered out loud as 5 teams of Anbu appeared. Anko-san, where is Orochimaru? The Hawk Anbu asked. He escaped. He did, however, warn me that if the Chunin exams are stopped that Konoha will burn to the ground. After this was said, the Anbu seemed to tense. Ultimately this will be up to Hokage-sama. The Anbu replied slowly as the snake mistress nodded, and they took off towards the tower, intent on finding the Hokage. Back with Team 7. Team 7 was about 5 minutes away from the tower when Naruto bolted up. Sakura was relieved to see him awake and Jiraiya set him on the ground. Where am I? Naruto groaned out as he looked around to see his team plus one man with a long white mane of hair. Who are you? Why, I am Jiraiya of the Sannin and you are about 5 minutes away from the tower. The perverted sage explained to the down blonde. Naruto groggily stood up and rubbed his eyes. Why is a Sannin helping us in the Chunin exams? And what happened to Itachi and Kisame? Naruto questioned, greatly confused. To answer your question, I am helping you in case those two are to reveal themselves again. And the 2 missing nin fled once I showed up, thankfully. Jiraiya explained as Naruto slowly nodded his head. We still have both scrolls. Naruto looked to his teammates. Sure do. Kiba nodded as Sakura held the 2 scrolls up. Okay. Thank you, Jiraiya-sama, for easting us. I believe we can make it the rest of the way. Jiraiya nodded as he disappeared in a plume of smoke. The 3 genin then started running towards the tower in dead silence. Naruto seemed to be a lot quieter and out of it than usual. Sakura Yumed, it was whatever happened inside Itachi's jutsu, so she didn't bother to ask. They arrived at the tower and Sakura read the poem to herself. I think we opened both scrolls. Sakura confirmed as she and Kiba dropped the 2 scrolls on the ground. All of a sudden smoke started to rise from the scrolls as Iruka appeared. Welcome to the tower. I'm proud to say you have now ped the 2nd round of the Chunin exams. Iruka smiled at this. He was inwardly worried about his favorite ex-student who seemed out of it. You have ped with a time of 9 hours and 39 minutes. You are currently the third team here. You can go rest in your rooms if you want to, they should be marked with your names. Uruka finished as Team 7 walked towards their room, intent on taking that advice. Jonin's lounge. Kakashi, Kurenai, Asuma and Guy were all sitting around in a corner of the Jonin lounge. The Jonin lounge was specifically reserved today for the Jonin that had teams participating in the first or second phases of the Chunin exam. It was located in the center tower. I heard who was giving the first exam. Asuma spoke up, breaking the silence. And who is that? Kurenai asked the chain smoker. Morino Ibiki. Asuma stated bluntly as Kakashi and Guy both went wide-eyed. For real? Man, that just got a lot more complicated. Kakashi muttered. Kurenai, not having heard of Ibiki, was rightfully confused. What is the big deal about this man? Morino Ibiki is the head of the torture and interrogation section of Anbu. It is said he can crack even the toughest opponent using just words alone. He is a certified sadist. Asuma explained, causing Kurenai's eyes to narrow. Do you think your team made it? She asked. I think so. Shikamaru is too smart to fall for any of that and Ino would never back down. Shoji wouldn't want to let his teammates down. Asuma reasoned. And yours? I'm not sure. I know Sasuke would never give into it and Shino is very unlikely. I'm not sure about Hinata. She has major confidence issues and is very shy, I'm sure they ped though. Kurenai sounded more confident at the end. How about you Kakashi? I'm almost certain my team ped. Naruto is much too strong-willed to give into anything Ibiki has to offer and Kiba is basically the same. Sakura would never jeopardize her teammates so I believe they did indeed pee. Kakashi then flashed one of his patented, eye smiles. Guy then looked over. Yash, your teams must all be very good if you have such confidence in their abilities. I am sure my team has overcome this obstacle using youthfulness alone. Guy pumped his fist in the air as everyone else sweat dropped. Did you say something Guy? Kakashi muttered as he looked up from his book. Guy then face faulted as he yelled, curse you Kakashi and your hipness. Just then a puff of smoke appeared in the middle of the room and there stood Jiraiya of the Sannin. Jiraiya-sama, what are you doing here? Kakashi asked as his fellow colleagues were too shocked at the arrival of the famous man to talk. Kakashi, I'd like to talk to you in private. Jiraiya motioned for the scarecrow to follow him as they both exited the room, leaving many bewildered Jonin-sensei. What did you want to talk about? Kakashi asked as he put his book away. How did you like volume 13? The perverted writer asked. Well, I did love the fact that Hirshomino and Taiyu finally hooked up, but don't you think the 17-some was a tad bit overboard? Kakashi asked, completely oblivious to how awkward it would be if anyone happened to listen in at that point. No, I did not. Jiraiya answered seriously. Now on to real business. I've come to inform you that I will be taking over the training of one of your pupils, one Uzumaki Naruto. He will still complete missions and the like with you, but he will be my apprentice. Jiraiya informed the tardy sensei. What? You can't do that. He is my student and I have much I could teach him. Kakashi tried to reason with the man who he knew was much stronger and had much more influence in the system than he did. I'm sorry Kakashi, I realize you could still teach the boy a lot, but Hokage-sama and I made this decision for the best. You don't even know what that boy is going to be up against. The older man tried to rear the still peeved Jonin. Would you care to enlighten me on who these supposed enemies that are apparently out of my abilities? Kakashi questioned, still angry at the possibility he wouldn't be able to train Minato-sensei's son. Today in the Forest of Death, Naruto was confronted by two S-rank missing nin, Uchiha Itachi and Hoshigaki Kisame. These are but two of a group of criminals called Akatsuki. As far as I can tell, they are after the Biju and the Jinchuriki of said Biju. I realize you think you owe it to Minato to train this boy, but as I said earlier, you will still be able to train him, just not as frequently as I know you'd like to. Jiraiya explained. Kakashi's lone visible eye widened at the mention of two S-rank nuke nin. He was strong, but he knew that he wasn't on the level of Itachi and Kisame. Kakashi sighed in defeat. He knew it was for the best. Hi, I understand Jiraiya-sama. Kakashi bowed and then disappeared in a signature leaf body flicker. Forest of Death Tower. Day of preliminary round. The 5 days had gone quickly for Naruto, who had spent all of it locked inside of his room thinking. This had worried his teammates greatly, but they had opted not to disturb the blonde genin. Naruto was still trying to comprehend that he was the son of the 4th Hokage. It was unreal. He decided he would have to put that thought in the back of his brain as the Hokage cleared his throat, waiting to address the crowd. Greetings to you all and congratulations on making it past the second round. There were only a handful of teams left. There was Team 7, Team 8, Team 10, Team Guy, the Suna team, Kabuto's team, and the team from Sound. The Chunin exams are for many purposes, only one of them being promoting Genin to Chunin. The Hokage then went on about how the Chunin exams were a way to show power without war and to get money. He was about to explain more when a sick-looking Jonin appeared behind him and he nodded and walked up to the stands. Hello, my name is Gecko Hayate, Unfortunately there are too many teams to proceed directly to the third round, so we are going to be holding a preliminary round to cut down the people. If there is anyone who thinks they are unfit to fight, please withdraw now. Kabuto raised his hand. Proctor, I forfeit. Hayate nodded as Kabuto proceeded to walk out of the room with a smirk on his face. Now I will randomly put your names into a computer that will generate random fights. Just then a large computer started flashing green names as the names landed in a couple seconds. The board read, Uchiha Sasuke vs. Yoroi Akato. Sasuke smirked as he made his way down to the arena. He seemed to be unconsciously rubbing his neck. Now are both contestants ready? Both contestants nodded. Then begin. Right as those words were said, Sasuke immediately threw 3 shuriken at his foe that merely blocked them with a kunai. Sasuke charged in close, trying to gain the advantage with taijutsu. He threw a quick jab at the older man's face, which was caught. Luckily Sasuke expected this as he moved to backhand his opponent only for his cursed mark to flare up. Damn, why now? Sasuke managed a weak punch instead, which was caught and his opponent pulled him in close. He then grabbed Sasuke by the neck. It's over. My ability allows me to drain your chakra reserves and add them to mine. You are finished. Sasuke growled, already feeling the effects. Sasuke was inwardly fighting a battle with the cursed mark. He couldn't give in yet or he would be disqualified. Taking a deep breath, Sasuke used every ounce of his strength to toss the older man over his back, and he went through a set of seals as he called out a jutsu. Fire release. Grand Fireball Jutsu. He then exhaled a much smaller version of what he was hoping for. Great. The seal is messing with my control. Akato was barely affected by the weak fireball and just had a singed pair of pants. He tried to run in close but was caught off guard when Sasuke appeared under him and delivered a powerful kick to his jaw. He then appeared behind him and fought down the curse mark long enough to deliver a number of powerful mid-air combo moves, ending with a downward axe kick. When this connected, it was clear Akato was out for the count. Winner. Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke smirked at this as he was then escorted away by Kakashi and Jiraiya, who intended on sealing his curse mark. Akato was taken away on a stretcher. The board flashed randomly again until it landed on 2 people. Will Sabuku no Tamari and Abumi Zaku please report to the stadium? Tamari floated down on her fan while Zaku chose to merely walk down. If you are both ready, begin. Just give up and I won't have to hurt that pretty little face of yours. Zaku stated in a flirtatious manner. Like I'm going to give up to some wannabe like you. Tamari stated bluntly. Zaku was angered by this and pointed both his arms at the girl. Air cutter. With that, a large gust of wind and sound was sent hurtling at the sand maiden. Tamari merely dodged, clearly unimpressed. The sound nin then charged in and attempted a roundhouse kick towards the wind user but was blocked by her fan. He used the fan as a springboard and flipped of and landed facing her again. Take this. He then fired an even bigger blast at Tamari, only for her to open her fan and swing it. Wind Scythe Jutsu, Temari's jutsu easily tromped the black-haired ninjas and sent it back full force. He was hit dead center and sent flying into the wall. The winner is Sabuku no Tamari. Hayate coughed out. In the ceiling room, Sasuke was currently sitting shirtless inside of a large pattern of seals. Jiraiya and Kakashi were both on their knees making more seals. This may hurt for a moment. The Toad Sannin announced and Sasuke nodded. He then formed a tiger seal as the seals on the ground and Sasuke's chest all turned bright red and shrunk into the cursed seal, making a container around it. Ah! Sasuke screamed bloody murder and was knocked out cold from the excruciating pain. Kukuku Kakashi, Jiraiya, locking up the gift I gave Sasuke-kun. A shadowy figure appeared from the doorway as Orochimaru stepped out into the room. Orochimaru! Kakashi yelled as he powered up a Raikiri and Jiraiya powered up a Rasengan. Orochimaru knew the power of those two jutsu and decided not to be on the receiving end. Well, I see I am not wanted here. I will tell you no that Sasuke will come to me. He will come to me on his own free will. This was all the Rouge Sannin said as he disappeared into the darkness. Chunin exam room. Tamari walked back up to her teammates as she walked past the other genin. She flashed Naruto a small smirk and continued on her way. The board then started to flash through names again before it stopped at 2. The board read, Uzumaki Naruto vs. Inuzuka Kiba. I would like to make an announcement. My story has now reached 10,000 hits. I would like to thank the readers, the fans, the reviewers and everyone else that I can't think of right now. I've got sudden urges to write this FIC, so I will finish up a chapter or two and start writing more of The Yellow Flash of Kiri. The update speeds will be most likely the same for now, but I might rotate between stories, depending on the response for the first chapter. Will Uzumaki Naruto and Inuzuka Kiba please report to the arena? Hayate coughed out. Naruto and Kiba's eyes met as they walked down the stairs. They knew each other's fighting styles, they knew each other's jutsu. This match would come down to strategies, intellect and luck. If both contestants are ready, begin. Hayate yelled as he disappeared out of the arena. Let's give a good show, Kiba inquired towards his blonde teammate. Sure. No holding back. May the best man win. Naruto responded. Yeah, let's go Akamaru. Kiba then tossed the puppy a soldier pill. Man-beast clone. All fours jutsu. The boy and his dog then both got on all 4 of their limps and charged at Naruto. Kiba tried to slash the blonde's face, but the blonde caught his wrist. Naruto then flipped the animalistic boy over his shoulder, slamming him into his canine partner. The enraged Inuzuka then growled and almost charged in headfirst again. He stopped mid-charge and decided to think first for a change. Naruto had never been happier. He was always happy when he got a good fight, and out of everyone in this room, Kiba was the only one who would give him a good, non-lethal fight. He got into a defensive stance and waited for the dog boy to charge. He was surprised when he didn't. Naruto decided to use this moment of silence to his advantage. Wind release. Great breakthrough. Naruto raised his hands horizontal from the ground and blasted an enormous torrent of wind straight at his opponent teammate. Temari's eyes widened in shock at the sight of this. When I learned that jutsu, it was nowhere near as powerful as that. Just how much chakra does this guy have? The wind jutsu kicked up a lot of dust, but it looked to be a direct hit. Looks can be deceiving. When the dust was gone, it revealed a giant wall made of earth. The wall soon collapsed to reveal a smirking Kiba. You didn't think I'd go down that easily? Kiba mocked. Not for a second. Naruto replied as he set his fingers in a familiar seal. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Soon enough a giant puff of smoke covered the entire arena. When it cleared there stood no less than 50 Naruto clones. Impossible. The Sand Jonin, Baki, muttered just loud enough for Tamari to hear. What? They are just clones, Tamari muttered, not impressed. Those aren't just normal run-of-the-mill clones, those are solid copies of the user, capable of giving, or taking damage. They can even perform jutsu. The Shadow Clone Jutsu is a high B ranked kinjutsu exclusive to Konoha. Baki explained. The Wind Mistress's eyes shot out of the sockets. Just who are you, Uzumaki Naruto? The Narutos all charged in towards the two Kibas. As soon as they were within 10 feet, the Kibas jumped high and became spiraling tornadoes of death. Fang over fang. Kiba yelled as the twin tornadoes charged into the group of clones, dispelling half of them. Kiba then nodded at Akamaru and threw a smoke bomb on the ground. Not so tough when you can't see, Naruto. Kiba mocked as he picked off the Narutos one by one. Found you. Kiba shouted as he grabbed what appeared to be the real Naruto. He held a kunai at the blonde's throat. This was the sight that everyone saw as the smoke cleared. Any last words? Kiba asked. Naruto smirked. Just one. Boom. With that word, the Naruto started to glow white and exploded, knocking Kiba off his feet. Just then 7 Narutos popped out of the ground. The first one launched Kiba into the air with its foot. Ooze. The second one then jumped up and hit Kiba higher in the air. Zoo. The third Naruto was launched into the air by the others and hit Kiba towards the other Naruto. Ma. The fourth one further continued to hit Kiba until throwing him to a fifth. Ki. The fifth Naruto launched Kiba up where the real Naruto was also launched too. The real Naruto then brought his foot down in a menacing axe kick to Kiba's gut. Naruto Renden. Naruto yelled as Kiba was launched to the ground. As soon as he hit the ground, the young boy puffed into a downed Akamaru. Kiba then charged at Naruto and delivered a hard uppercut to Naruto's chin. Naruto was sent flying into the wall. He rubbed his chin when he got out of the newly made crater. When did you substitute? Naruto asked, clearly curious. When you first launched me into the air. Kiba confirmed Naruto's suspicion that it had been the real Kiba, but he had substituted with Akamaru. Now to avenge Akamaru, Kiba yelled as he charged Naruto. Naruto then took a page from Kiba's book and threw a smoke bomb onto the ground. What are you playing here? You don't have a nose nearly as strong as mine and you can't see, Kiba wondered out loud. Maybe you're just not getting it. With the smoke up, no one can see anything. Naruto whispered, his voice appearing to come from all angles. Naruto mentally thanked Zabuza for showing him how to make his voice project like that. All of a sudden Naruto disappeared from his spot and appeared behind Kiba, pointing a kunai at his neck. Kiba snarled, knowing there was no way out. Proctor, I give up. Kiba called as the smoke cleared, revealing Naruto pointing a kunai at the Inuzuka's neck. Right, the winner is Uzumaki Naruto. Hayate called. Naruto and Kiba then shook hands and walked up the stairs together. That was a rather impressive performance. Who knew Kakashi could actually teach? Kurenai wondered with fake shock written on her face. Kakashi groaned at this. Is someone jealous that my students are clearly superior to her own? He shot back. Kurenai frowned and realized that out of all her students, the only one she was confident any of them could defeat was Sakura, and that was just judging on her reputation from the academy. She figured Sasuke could fight on equal grounds with the 2 male members of Team 7. She assumed he would be overconfident, causing him to lose. The board then started to flash again. It landed on the names, Shino Aburame vs. Tsurugi Masumi. Will both contestants please report down to the battlefield so we can start the match? The sickly Jonin asked. When both the bug user and the purple-dressed man were standing on the fighting floor, Hayate raised his hand. Begin, Just as those words left his mouth, Masumi charged forward and started off with a jab at Shino's chest, which was blocked. He then followed up with an uppercut. The uppercut connected and sent Shino flying away. As soon as the black-haired boy hit the ground, he dissolved into bugs. What the? Masumi muttered as he looked around for his opponent. He saw him standing a short distance away. The best part was that he was facing the wrong way. Masumi smirked as he crept up on Shino and seemed to wrap around him with his long limbs. Give up. I can easily disconnect all my joints using my chakra, allowing me to stretch them like so. Now give up before I suffocate you. The secret spy for Orochimaru smirked. The first rule of a shinobi is, always look under the underneath. Shino replied, taking the line from his father. Soon the Shino dissolved into hundreds of bugs that started to suck his opponent dry of chakra. You lose, Shino stated as a matter of fact, voice as he fixed his glees. The winner is Aburame Shino, Hayate announced. Up in the stands, Kakashi was inwardly impressed with the bug user. He seemed to be one of Konoha's top competitors in the finals so far, along with Naruto and Sasuke. The flashing board then stopped abruptly. Will Kintu Dosu and Sabuku no Gara please report to the fighting arena? Hayate surprisingly didn't cough once, as if waiting to see the dangerous Sand Nin was more important. As soon as the two fighters were in place, Hayate called the match to begin. Give up. You are no match for the hidden sound. The mummified man smirked as he looked at the apathetic red head. If I recall correctly, so far the Sand has one competitor in the finals while the Sound has 0. Gara stated in a monotone voice. This angered Dosu, who proceeded to flick the large gauntlet-type weapon on his arm. This sent a concentrated wave of sound at the Sand Nin. Gara soon was on the ground screaming as blood seeping out of his ears. Dosu smirked. Of the gourd on Gara's back. The sand rushed at Dosu with blinding speeds and soon was wrapped around him. Sand coffin. Gara named the technique in an insane voice. Sand burial. Gara squeezed his hand shut as the sand literally crushed the Sound Nin. The other Sand Nin present hoped that amount of killing would satisfy the Jinchuriki for the time being. Winner. Sabuku no Gara. Hayate stated, clearly freaked out at the brutal, yet efficient, way Gara ended the match. Naruto grimaced at the match, inwardly thanking the heavens that his demon was stable, well maybe not stable, maybe just not as insane as Gara's. He still remembered his latest visit with the Kyuubi clearly. Flashback. Naruto was standing in front of the Kaibui, demanding answers. How do you know the Yondaime is my father? Or where my jumping came from? The Kyuubi snorted at this. You don't think a being as old as me wouldn't pick up on stuff like that? Wait, are there any more people like me? Naruto questioned. There may be, the demon fox muttered. Where? Naruto begged, hoping that somehow there would be more of his family, or people like him. You will have to answer that on your own, foolish ninja. Be gone. The Kyuubi then roared and sent Naruto out of his mindscape. Flashback end. Naruto then looked down to see the next match was about to begin. He saw the match was Nara Shikamaru versus that one Sound chick. If both contestants are ready, begin. Hayate exclaimed as he jumped into the stands. Man, what a drag. I have to fight a troublesome woman. Shikamaru muttered as he sighed. What was that? Kin narrowed her eyes as she glared at the lazy shadow user. And she's deaf too. Man, this is really going to be troublesome, Shikamaru muttered as he put his hands in his pockets. This caused Kin to face fault. I'm not deaf, you idiot. She yelled as she threw some senbon at the lazy leaf nin. Shikamaru didn't even have to dodge to avoid the needles. She purposely missed, and there is a bell attached to the end of some of her senbon. I wonder. Up in the stands, the Jonin were once again conversing. I think your student will lose Asuma. He seems too lazy for his own good. Kakashi pointed out as he read his book. Asuma's sweat dropped at this. That's the pot calling the kettle black, and Shikamaru may not look like it, but he is actually a genius. Asuma pointed out. Kurenai interrupted. How so? I had a IQ test disguised as a puzzle for him, and that boy has an IQ of over 200. Asuma stated, causing the two other Jonin to almost trip. 2 to 200. Kurenai sputtered out. Asuma merely nodded and motioned for them to watch the match. Shikamaru barely caught the flash of light coming from an almost invisible ninja wire. He looked down the wire to see it attached to the bells. All of a sudden he heard a loud ring and his vision got blurry. He stumbled back as he saw 5 kins. What happened? Shikamaru questioned. All 5 kins answered. You got caught under my genjutsu. You thought just because I am a girl it'd be an easy win. Ha! Kin all of a sudden tried to charge Shikamaru only to find her body not willing to budge an inch. What the? Shadow possession jutsu. Success, Shikamaru muttered lazily. Kin's eyes bulged out of her head. How did you know which was the real me? And how did you get me without me seeing? She questioned. Shikamaru explained. I used one of your Senbon's wire and I sent a shadow down it. You were so caught up in me being in your genjutsu you forgot to be aware of your surroundings. Now it's over. Shikamaru yawned. Big deal, whatever you do to me will happen to you as well. Kin was cut off as Shikamaru threw a shuriken at her, making her do the same as him. He ducked back and she smirked, knowing she'd do the same. Her smirk was wiped off her face when she bashed her head against the side of the wall, making Shikamaru the winner. Winner. Nara Shikamaru. Hayate announced as the screen started again. Everyone was holding their breath, not wanting to be paired up against him/her. The screen then stopped. Will Akamichi Choji and Rock Lee please come, to start their match? Hayate announced. Choji gulped. Common Choji, you can do it. Ino cheered for her long time, friend. I know it's troublesome but at least you don't have to fight a girl. Shikamaru used his form of encouragement. I think, this however caused Ino to bash him upside the head at the mention of troublesome women. If you win I'll treat you to an all-you-can-eat barbecue. Asuma offered as a fire began to burn in Choji's eyes. He then ran down the stairs and was ready to go. Yosh! It is my fight at last. Lee cheered as he jumped off the balcony. If both contestants are ready, let the match begin. Hayate brought his hand down, signaling for the two genin to start. Let us have a very youthful match. Lee yelled towards Choji. Choji ignored this and immediately created a set of seals. Expansion Jutsu. Meet Tank Boulder. Choji yelled as he bloated up into a large ball. He then started rolling at high speeds towards Lee, who merely dodged out of the way. Choji, however, followed the green-clad boy. Lee then dodged again but this time he countered with his Leaf Whirlwind. He landed a kick straight onto Choji that sent the big-boned Akamichi flying into the wall. Hayate's sweat dropped at the amount of time that match took. Well, it looks like we have a winner. Rock Lee of Konoha, Hayate announced, causing Lee to yell in triumph. I did it, Guy-sensei. I'm going to the final round. Lee cheered. Good work, my youthful student. If you do not become a Chunin, I will scale the Hokage's monument with a 2-ton boulder strapped to my back. Guy yelled back. And if you should fall off and break all the bones in your body, I will personally pick you and that boulder up and run you to the hospital, using only my hands. Lee continued on with their small workout talk. And if you, Guy started only for Hayate to cough, this time intentionally. We are kind of in the middle of an exam, Hayate explained while Guy nodded and gave his nice guy pose. He then yelled something that Naruto tuned out. Selective hearing was a godsend in a place like this. Ahem. The next match will be between Sabuku no Kankuro and Hyuga Neji. Hayate coughed out. When both contestants were ready, he called the match to begin. Give up. You were fated to lose as soon as you were made to be my opponent. Neji stated. You Konoha nin might believe in crap like that, but back in Suna we actually have some common sense. Kankuro mocked. If you had any common sense at all, you would have known that switching places with your little puppet is useless. Neji argued as he charged forward and hit the package on Kankuro's back with a gentle fist strike. Kankuro then emerged, coughing up a fit. What the hell did you do to me? Kankuro demanded. The gentle fist is not Konoha's strongest taijutsu style for a reason. Instead of focusing on delivering wounds to the outside, the Hyuga focus on delivering internal blows to the chakra pathways directly, or even the organs. Now you are within my range of division. Neji stated, surprising Hinata, who didn't even know the 64 palms herself. 2 palms. Neji yelled as he delivered 2 hits to Kankuro's abdomen. 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms, 32 palms, 64 palms. Neji finished with a smirk. I told you that you were fated to lose. You cannot change your fate. Once a failure, always a failure. Neji sneered, causing Naruto to growl. Bullshit. Naruto yelled, knuckles white from gripping the railing so tight. What was that? Neji narrowed his Byakugan at the offending blonde. I said, bullshit. You can always change who you are with enough hard work and dedication. Naruto yelled. Yosh. Such a youthful attitude. Lee, this boy could be your eternal rival, just like my rival Kakashi. Guy shouted, causing Kakashi to back away innocently. You are a fool. One is born with a simple fate at birth. You cannot change it no matter how hard you try. This is why you are a failure. Neji pointed out, if we meet in the finals, I'll prove to you that your fate crap is a horse. Naruto growled. Temari looked over, seeing a look of dedication she hadn't ever seen on anybody. She wished she had something she could believe in like that. The board then stopped, interrupting their argument. Will Haruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino please report to the arena? Signal the ever-present. Cough. Sakura's eyes glowed with a determination not unlike her blonde-haired teammate. She was ready for this with all the training she had done. You should just give up right now, forehead. There is no way you can beat me. Ino boasted, completely confident she could still beat her rival. Ha, we'll see about that, Ino pig. Sakura shouted back. Begin. Hayate said. Sakura immediately made a set of hand seals and whispered to herself. Soon 4 clones appeared beside her. They 4 Sakuras charged in towards the blonde, who didn't know which was which. Ino opted to just throw a shuriken at all of them. When only one dodged, she smirked, knowing which one was the real Pinkett. Sakura stopped in her tracks and undid her headband. Ino looked in surprised. I told you that when I became a real Konuchi I would wear this on my forehead. Sakura explained as she tied the headband around her forehead. Ino followed suit after she nodded. Sakura charged forward and tried to land a jab to Ino's neck. Ino went to block it only to find out it was a feint as Sakura launched a roundhouse kick at the blonde. Ino was hit square in the face and sent rolling away. You're not a real kunoichi, you care more about your hair than your training. Sakura accused as she chopped off a long chunk of her hair with a kunai. This shocked the rookies, who had always known Sakura to care deeply for her precious locks. You think you're the only one who can cut their own hair? Ino yelled as she cut her ponytail off with her kunai, further shocking everyone, especially Team 10. Sakura smirked, knowing her plan had worked. Ino gasped as she felt a kunai against her neck. When? How? Ino sputtered out, seeing 2 Sakuras. The shadow clone jutsu, it's really a wonderful technique, too bad I can only create 1 or 2 before I run out of usable chakra. Sakura explained, already feeling the exhaustion that came with the shadow clone. How her teammate did it she would never know. Winner. Haruno Sakura. Hayate exclaimed as Sakura jumped up in joy. Ino, instead of being mad, had a smile on her face. You really bloomed into a beautiful flower, Sakura. Ino smiled at her old best friend, wishing they could go back to how it used to be. Sakura smiled back, wondering how she had let a boy get between her and her best friend. Yeah, Sakura mumbled, clearly embered at the praise. The board already had the next contestants up. Will Hyuga, Hinata and Tenten please come down to cough battle? Hayate called out. Hinata was nervous. She was up against Neji's teammate. You're Neji's cousin, right? Tenten asked, hoping it would be an affirmative so she would know what to expect from her opponent. Why yes. Hinata mumbled as she pushed her index fingers together. Tenten nodded as Hayate started the match. Tenten immediately threw a kunai and jumped backwards, knowing that fighting a Hyuga in close-range battle was suicidal. Hinata activated her Byakugan and tried to charge forward, only to have to dodge a group of well-aimed kunai and shuriken. Hinata get in close and tried to land a palm strike on the bun-haired girl. She missed and was swatted away with a rather weak backhand curtsy of the weapon's mistress. Tenten knew her worst area was taijutsu, so she opted to try and get as much distance as possible. I was hoping to save this for the finals, I guess I have to use it now. Tenten then pulled out 2 scrolls as she rose into the air, twirling the scrolls down from her. Twin rising dragons. The brown-haired girl yelled out as hundreds of weapons of all kind popped out from the scrolls. She then began to hurl the weapons at the shy girl with amazing speed and precision. Hinata knew she was done for if she didn't think quick. She started to spin and formed an incomplete rotation. The incomplete shield only knocked the weapons away, not sending them back like it was supposed to. To her surprise, Tenten rose her fingers as the weapons rose again and hovered around her. Give up or I'll just keep coming with the weapons until you run out of chakra. Tenten threatened. Hinata hesitantly nodded her head and gave up. She looked downwards and pushed her index fingers together. Winner. Tenten. Hayate announced as the 2 ladies went back to the stands. Hinata wasn't watching where she was going and accidentally bumped into Kiba. Anyo. I'm very sorry Kiba-kun, Hinata muttered out. It's okay Hinata. Neither of us were watching out for anyone. You did great out there. I didn't think you were so strong. Kiba praised the shy Hyuga, who turned redder after each sentence. Thank you, Kiba-kun. Do you think IG got any better? Hinata asked as she was expecting a big flat. No. Sure you did. You did great. I didn't pee either so I know how disappointing it is. Kiba explained, remembering his fight with Naruto. Hayate coughed. If it was intentional or not is still up for debate, getting the attention of the audience. Congratulations to all of you who have ped the preliminary round, you will now move on to the finals. To those of you that lost your fight, be grateful you made it this far and try again in 6 months' time. Please come down and draw cards to see who you will be fighting in the final round. Hayate explained. The genin then made their way down and all picked a number. Kurenai pulled out a number for Sasuke. 1. Neji stated in his monotone voice. 10. Tenten said. 5. Sakura piped up. 7. Kurenai answered for her student. 2. Lee shouted. 9. Tamari smirked. 6. Shikamaru muttered lazily. 8. Naruto answered. 4. Gaara stated, obviously bored. 3. Shino muttered quietly. Hayate nodded. The matches will be the following. Hyuga Neji vs. Rock Lee, Aburame Shino vs. Sabuku no Gaara, Haruno Sakura vs. Nara Shikamaru, Uchiha Sasuke vs. Uzumaki Naruto, and Sabuku Tamari vs. Tenten. You all have 2 months to train. Please train as much as you can. There will be a lot of political figures and you want to do well for your village. I will see you in 2 months' time. Hayate then dismissed the remaining genin. Naruto ped by Tamari and gave her a quick wink and he was off to find his sensei. Soon enough he found Kakashi walking down the hallway of the hospital. Kakashi-sensei, will you train me for the finals? Naruto asked as he waited anxiously for a reply. Sorry Naruto, I will be training Sakura, because, no offense, she is probably the weakest of our team and Kiba is training with his family. Sakura looked mad at being called weak but just nodded her head. After all, that was why she was training. Naruto frowned and muttered a downcast, okay. But I got you an even better person to train you. Kakashi finished, causing Naruto to raise his eyebrow. It wasn't everybody that the copy nin could claim to be better than him. Who? Naruto asked suspiciously. If you hand me off to Ebisu, I swear to God, Naruto threatened. Me. Jiraiya answered as he entered the hallway from a room. The Uchiha's seal is all secured. He said to Kakashi. Wait. I'm going to be trained by a Sannin. Naruto exclaimed. Yes, indeed, you are. Follow me and we will begin your training. Jiraiya stated as they began walking away, leaving a dumbfounded Sakura and a smirking Kakashi. When the 2 ninja arrived at the hot springs, Naruto raised an eyebrow. Why are we at the hot springs? I already know the water walking exercise, Naruto trailed off. We are here so I can do research while you train, of course. Jiraiya answered like it was the most obvious thing in the world. What kind of research? Naruto questioned suspiciously. Well, I'm glad you asked. Jiraiya grinned as he pulled out a very familiar little orange book. I am the proud writer of the Ika Ika series. I need to research to get inspiration to write my new book. The old pervert grinned perversely. Naruto face faulted. You mean I have a sensei who reads the stuff and a sensei who writes it? Naruto screamed. Do you want to be trained by a Sannin or not? Jiraiya asked, clearly getting annoyed. Why yes. What will you be teaching me, Ero-sama? Naruto asked with fake respect. Jiraiya twitched. First, I'm going to let you sign the toad contract. The toad sage grinned. Why would I want to summon toads? Naruto asked rhetorically. Oh, these aren't just any toads, Jiraiya explained as he bit his thumb and went through a set of seals. All of a sudden he slammed his hand on the ground and a toad that stood at least 8 feet high on all fours appeared. He had on battle armor and twin wakashis on his back. Whoa! Naruto stared, dumbfounded. Teach me! Naruto yelled as he jumped up and down. Jiraiya grinned and handed him the scroll. Naruto immediately ripped it open and pricked his finger with a kunai. He then signed the ancient contract with his blood. He noticed the last 2 names on the contract. Well, of course there's Jiraiya and Namikaze Minato. Wait, the Yondaime signed the toad contract. Naruto thought. The Yondaime summoned toads? Naruto asked Jiraiya. Of course, I did train the Yondaime after all, Jiraiya nodded. Naruto wondered if Jiraiya knew he was the 4th son, he would have a long talk with the current Hokage after this training session. Wait, you said that's the first thing you'd teach me, what else will I learn? Naruto asked. Well, how about a demonstration? Jiraiya smirked as he walked up to a tree. He then held out his hand for a moment until a spinning ball of chakra appeared in his palm. Rasengan! Jiraiya yelled as he thrust the ball into the tree. The Rasengan grinded the tree until there was a large hole in the tree. That, Naruto, is the Rasengan. It was invented by the Yondaime and took him 3 years to master. I don't expect you to learn it in the time you have left over after you learn to summon. It took me 4 months to master. Jiraiya explained. Naruto, however, wasn't paying attention to the old sage as he was currently dreaming about what kind of damage he could do with a jutsu like that. Now, show up here at 10 a.m. tomorrow and we will begin your training. The toad sage instructed. Wait, we aren't starting today? Naruto asked, wanting to start as early as possible. Of course not. Today there are blonde twins in the hot springs. Jiraiya muttered dreamily, causing Naruto to sweat drop and mutter a rig. Naruto then waved to Jiraiya and took off at a walking pace, intent on confronting the Sandaime about his discovery. Hokage's office. Naruto stormed into the Hokage's office, causing the secretary to go wide-eyed but merely shrug it off as if it was daily occurrence, which it probably was. Good morning, Naruto-kun, what can I do for you today? The old Hokage asked as he took a puff of his smoke. Seeing the pissed off expression on the Jinchuriki's face, he activated his privacy seals. What seems to be the problem? You knew, didn't you? Naruto accused with a solemn voice. You have to clarify more than that, Sarutobi replied. You knew that the Yondaime was my father, didn't you? Naruto looked down, unable to see the look of surprise on the old Hokage's face. How did you? Sarutobi gasped out. The Kyuubi told me, Naruto answered, still looking at the ground. I'm sorry, Naruto, I couldn't, Sarutobi started, only to get cut off. So you did know? Naruto glared daggers at his leader. Yes, but you have to understand, if it got out that you were the son of the 4th Hokage, your life would be in far more danger than you could ever understand. Sarutobi tried to reason with the clearly pissed off blonde. What do you think I'd run down the street yelling, the Yondaime's my father? I understand why you would keep it from me when I was younger, but I know how to keep a secret. Naruto yelled, talking about the Kyuubi. Do you know how many times I'd thought that my parents were killed by the villagers, or worse abandoned me, or hated me for what I contained? The least you could have done was to tell me who my father was. Naruto growled out. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry I didn't, the The Sandaime tried to talk again, only to get cut off again. Did Jiraiya know too? Naruto suddenly asked. This further shocked the third Hokage, not suspecting Naruto to know Jiraiya's relationship with the fourth yet. No, I didn't tell him, Sarutobi admitted. He recently found out and that is why he came back. Why didn't you tell him? He could have watched over me. Naruto shook his head in frustration. If he knew you were alive, he would have stayed in Konoha. His spy network is immensely important to Konoha, Sarutobi tried to explain. I'm sorry about all the mistakes I've made, Naruto-kun. I understand. I just would like you to know I've lost all respect for you. I will be leaving now, Hokage-sama. Naruto spat out, with venom in his voice, as he jumped to an unknown destination. Sarutobi sighed as he rubbed his temples. He wondered for the 100th time if he had made the right decision. Minato, you would be ashamed of me. The old Hokage seemed to really feel his age for the first time in a long time. His eyes lingered at the picture of the fourth as he began to work on his paperwork. Sarutobi had no idea what the future was going to look like, but he could already tell he wasn't going to like it. Naruto woke up the next morning. He was exited for his training and opted to not let his conversation with the Sandaime affect his training. He also decided to ask Jiraiya about his parents. He finished his morning rituals and was off to the hot springs. So you made it? Jiraiya asked, not even looking away from his peeping hole. Yeah, I wouldn't miss training. Naruto yelled quietly. Jiraiya nodded and motioned for the blonde to follow him to a less populated part of town. They arrived at a river clearing and Naruto turned towards his new teacher. Did you know my parents? I mean, I know you knew my dad, but did you know my mom? Naruto asked suddenly. This surprised Jiraiya, having only recently put two and two together himself. How do you know about that? Sarutobi wouldn't even trust me with that information. The Toad Sage yelled as he shook his hands in the air. The yell was, unfortunately, loud enough to scare the girls who were in the river away. The Kyuubi told me and Hokage-sama confirmed it. Naruto stated, not soundly too pleased about either. Jiraiya sighed and spoke. Your father, he was a great man. He was so laid back, but when a mission or a fight happened, he was a completely different person. He was calculating, fierce and had the strength to back it up. He looked a lot like you. He was so happy about becoming a father. He would always spend time with you when you were still in your mother. Jiraiya took a breath. Your mother was named Uzumaki Kushina. She was an ex-Whirlpool nin. She fled to Konoha when Whirlpool was destroyed. She then became one of our elite Anbu officers. In Whirlpool, she was called the Red Death, due to her red hair. She was stubborn and loved ramen with a paon. I guess you inherited her side of the family, Jiraiya joked. Naruto let a small laugh at this. So they loved me? Naruto asked. Jiraiya nodded. They loved you so much. I hope you understand why Minato used you for the container, the Toad Hermit trailed off. I think I do. Naruto smiled at his new teacher. Okay, now on to business, try and summon a toad. Jiraiya instructed, ending the bonding experience the two just shared. Naruto nodded and focused chakra to his arm. He bit his thumb and formed the seals. Summoning jutsu. He screamed and a puff of smoke erupted. Standing in front of him was a frog no bigger than your average tree frog. Naruto's sweat dropped. Jiraiya looked impressed but soon changed to uninterested. You must suck, kid. Here I thought you'd be a natural. Jiraiya laughed, hiding the fact that he was tremendously impressed at the fact that it wasn't a tadpole. Naruto growled and for the rest of the day he would continue to repeat the same jutsu over and over again, not getting any different results. God, what is the problem with me? Naruto growled out in frustration. He turned when he heard clapping. Great work, kid. My first day at it, I couldn't even summon a frog, only tadpoles. Jiraiya praised, causing Naruto to grin and he turned to leave for the night, only to turn back around. Jiraiya-sensei, I have this ability, I can teleport anywhere I have ever been, or can see. Naruto admitted. Jiraiya widened his eyes in shock. Who all knows about it? The Toad Sage asked. Kaka-sensei, Hokage-sama, Sakura, Kiba, you and the people we met in Wave. Naruto listed the names. Jiraiya nodded. He knew what this ability was, he also knew why Naruto had it. Are you planning on using it against the Uchiha? Jiraiya asked. No, he's not worth it. I'll use my other techniques. Naruto stated. Jiraiya nodded and told Naruto to go home safely. Standing on top of a post, unknown to both the ninja he was watching, was an old man. The man seemed to need a cane to walk and had white hair with a matching beard. He wore a black shirt and gray khaki shorts. He seemed to be looking at the young blonde in front of him. Interesting, he thought as he all of a sudden disappeared with a ripple of the air. The next day, Naruto woke up in a daze, still not quite believing everything that had happened in the last few days. He was being trained by one of the strongest leaf ninja, he was moving on to the Chunin finals, and he was going to be facing Uchiha Sasuke. He was very excited to be able to finally put the stuck-up Uchiha in his place. Naruto got ready and was out the door so fast, he didn't even remember if he locked the door. He wasn't paying any attention to his surroundings and he ended up knocking an old man carrying bags of groceries in his hands. Ah! The old man cried out as he plummeted to the ground. Naruto looked on, horrified that he had knocked the man down. I'm so sorry. Here, let me help you pick up your groceries. Naruto panicked as he created shadow clones to pick up the groceries and help the elder up. Why thank you, Sonny. You should watch where you are going so you don't run into anyone else. The man scolded kindly. Naruto rubbed the back of his neck sheepishly. Hee, I guess I wasn't looking where I was going, so is there anything else I can do for you? Naruto kindly offered. Well, you could help me bring my groceries home, the old man chuckled. Naruto answered the man's unasked question. He was half expecting the man to shoo him away, but was pleasantly surprised when the man merely smiled. My name is Takai. My house is this way, Naruto-san. Takai motioned for the clearly younger boy to follow him. When they arrived at the house, Takai graciously thanked the young man who had helped him. Would you like to come in for a cup of tea? Takai offered. Naruto politely declined. Nonsense. You're coming in for the cup of tea. I insist. Takai laughed in a gruff voice. Naruto nodded and followed the old man into his house. He took a seat at the table while Takai put the pot on the kettle. So are you a ninja? Takai asked, trying to make conversation. Yeah, how did you know? Naruto confirmed and asked a question of his own. Your headband, Takai pointed out, causing Naruto to sweat drop. The loud screeching noise let Takai know that the tea was done. I'll be right back. He returned moments later with 2 cups of tea. Naruto sipped the tea slowly, savoring the flavor. You sure do like the tea, Namikaze. The old man laughed gruffly. Naruto's eyes shot open at this. What did you say? The blonde Jinchuriki stuttered out. Namikaze. The old man smirked. Naruto picked Takai up by the collar of his shirt, completely ignoring his old age. How do you know about that? Naruto asked in a deadly tone. I know a lot of things. Takai grinned as he brought his cane up and whipped the younger fellow in the arm. Follow me if you seek answers. The old man then disappeared in a ripple of the air, causing Naruto to gasp. How? He asked himself. He noticed he could still see the faint ripples where the jump occurred. He crunched his eyebrows in frustration and suddenly an idea formed in his head. He then jumped through the old man's jump hole. Naruto found himself on top of the Hokage's monument. Takai was standing over the edge. Who are you? Naruto questioned with venom in his voice. The man merely grinned and jumped again. Naruto growled and followed into the ripple. He all of a sudden found himself in an abandoned-looking house. Takai was sitting on the couch. So you've figured we can follow in each other's dimensional rips? Takai asked. Naruto looked confused. Kyubi said that this ability was only exclusively for my family. Exactly. My name is Namikaze Taki. I am your great, great, great and many more greats, grandfather. The old man smirked at Naruto's look of confusion. How old are you? Naruto finally sputtered out. 132 years and counting. The old man laughed out. Naruto face faulted at this. Okay, where did you come from? Naruto questioned. I've been traveling the world for years now, ever since the rest of the clan banished me. Takai nodded to himself. Why would they banish you? Naruto asked, thoroughly confused. Well, you see, the clan head at the time was named Daisuke. He was always jealous that he didn't have the abilities I have. He convinced the rest of the clan that I was evil, a hell spawn. They eventually presented me with a choice, leave or die. As you can guess, I left. I heard many years later that the entire clan was killed in a civil war. Apparently I was mistaken. My grandson survived. He then had a son, who had a son, who had a daughter, who had a son who was the father of Minato. You probably know by now that Minato was your father. Takai took a breath. Now as to why I am here, I came to find the last descendant of the clan, and tell you that soon you will be the last. My time on this earth is running out. I came to explain to you some of our abilities and to tell you to restore the Namikaze clan to the way it was made. Naruto was now in shock. He had a relative alive. He had someone that was like him. So what can we do besides teleport? Naruto questioned. Well, teleporting is basically our only ability. We can also bring with us anything that moves, and some still things. I warn you to be careful about what you jump with. The jumper before me killed himself trying to jump the entire house. Takai warned. This made Naruto's eyes widen for what seemed like the 1000th time. He could theoretically move a house. Well, of course he would die, and that would be a problem. How long are you staying? Naruto asked, not wanting to lose the only family he had ever had so soon. I'm afraid I have to leave right away. There is something I must do before I die, Takai explained. Naruto understood that was the only answer he was going to get, so he nodded his head in understanding. Thank you, I'll make you proud. I'll make the whole family proud. Naruto pumped his fist into the air and a broad grin etched itself onto his handsome visage. Takai was thoroughly convinced he had made the right decision in coming here. Good luck. These were the last words Takai would ever speak to Naruto as he disappeared into thin air. Naruto sighed and made his way to his training ground. He knew he wouldn't be able to focus on training today. Suna Hotel. Tamari stared out the window. Her mind was a mess. On one hand she was thinking and preparing for the upcoming war. On another she couldn't get that blonde Konoha nin out of her head. Gah, what is the matter with me? I don't even know him, yet the thought of him dying in the invasion, I can't stand this. What do I do? Tamari inwardly fought herself, trying to determine the best course of action. She heard the door creak open as Kankuro walked in. What? She barked at her younger brother. I wanted to talk to you about that blonde boy, Kankuro started. This further infuriated Tamari. You can't let any attraction you have towards him cloud your judgment. We are going to be fighting a war. This is for the best. This is for Suna, Kankuro stated. This got Tamari thinking. Is it? She muttered after a long silence. What was that? Kankuro narrowed his eyes. I said. Is it? Is this war really for the best? Is any war really worth it? What are we going to gain? There are always wars between the countries. What we had with Konoha was peace, alliance. I don't feel right turning on our allies like this. Tamari concluded. Kankuro was listening. He had thought of some of this as well. I know what you mean. We just have to trust that Kazekage-sama knows what he is doing. I just hope Gaara knows friend from foe, Kankuro muttered and Tamari nodded. Anyway, that blonde means nothing to me. He is just a guy. Nothing more, nothing less. Tamari didn't know who she was trying to convince, Kankuro or herself. Back at Hot Springs, why can't I summon anything bigger? Naruto growled out as he summoned a small frog for the 500th time in a row. He hadn't made any progress in the entire time he had been summoning. Even Jiraiya was concerned. Jiraiya noted that Naruto had got off to a great start, but he had made little to no progress at all. He looked pleadingly at Jiraiya. I don't know, kid, I really don't know. If I had to guess, I'd say your chakra control is piss poor. The Toad Hermit concluded. Naruto merely growled. Why don't we call it a day? Naruto grudgingly walked off, wondering what his problem was. Outskirts of Konoha, Uchiha Itachi was angry. No, he was downright furious. After his encounter with the blonde, he had been temporarily blind for 2 days. 2 days. If that wasn't bad enough, after he gained his sight back, he had found out he couldn't activate his Mangekyo Sharingan. He tried countless times only to come up with the same conclusion every time. His cursed eyes were gone. He didn't know how or why they were gone. All he knew is they were gone. Without the Mangekyo, everything he had worked for was gone. The staged Maker, the having Sasuke seek vengeance, everything. He knew he couldn't let anyone in Akatsuki know about this development. Without the Mangekyo, he was severely less useful to the organization. He cursed the demon fox for the umpteenth time that day for whatever it had done to him. Naruto's house. Later that night, Naruto woke up in an all too familiar sewer. He sighed, annoyed at his misfortune. The blonde decided to see what the fox wanted, so he begrudgingly started on the long walk to the center. He arrived to see the familiar gate, familiar seal, even the familiar 200-meter tall demon fox that he knew would be plotting his demise. Yes? Naruto asked, clearly annoyed at being summoned by his prisoner. Foolish ninja, you complain before you even hear what I have to say. The fox's booming voice bellowed. Naruto sighed. What is that? Have you noticed that your chakra control has never improved much, no matter how much you work at it? The Kyuubi grinned. What did you do? Naruto demanded in a harsh voice. Over the years I have been mixing small amounts of my yokai into your chakra system, not enough to seriously damage you, but enough to throw off your chakra control. The demon lord explained. This caused Naruto to narrow his eyes. Well, knock it off. Naruto growled. The fox merely chuckled. The reason I've called you here is to make a deal. I will stop messing with your control, give you heightened senses, and even make it so you can control my chakra without my influence and damaging effects, under one condition. The fox smirked. Naruto's eyes stayed narrowed. He didn't trust the fox. I'm listening. My condition is short and simple. You are to kill Uchiha Madara. Who? Naruto asked, not knowing who the Uchiha was. Uchiha Madara is a man I am not exactly on friendly terms with. He is also coincidentally looking for the Jinchuriki. So either way you will have to combat him. This way you will be more likely to defeat him. Kyuubi explained. Naruto still didn't trust the fox but decided it was worth a shot. And if I refuse? Naruto asked, waiting for a response as he glared into the large fox's eyes. Not only will Uchiha Madara kill you in the future, but I will destroy your chakra control and you will never be able to continue with being a ninja. The Kyuubi smirked evilly at this. Naruto widened his eyes. He still didn't know whether or not to completely trust the fox. He probably never would, but it couldn't do more harm than it could do well. Fine. I agree to your terms. Naruto finally answered. Good. Demons never go back on their word. I will separate my chakra from yours so your control will return. You will also be able to use my chakra without the side effects, at least as much as your puny human body can handle. Now leave. I grow bored of you. Naruto found himself fading from his mindscape once again, only to wake up in his sweaty bed sheets. He sighed and got up to get a drink of water. Wonder if it actually worked. Naruto thought suspiciously. He created a ram sign and started to focus chakra. Holy crap. It feels so much easier to control now. Maybe this is why I couldn't summon anything with Arrow Sennin, maybe tomorrow. With that thought Naruto drifted into a dreamless sleep. The next day, Naruto stood in front of Jiraiya. Jiraiya had a shocked expression on his face. Are we talking about the Uchiha Madara? Jiraiya asked, clearly dumbfounded. Yeah, who is he? Naruto questioned lamely. Jiraiya sighed. Uchiha Madara was the founder of the Uchiha clan. He fought head-to-head against the Shadaime Hokage when he defected. He is said to be dead. He is also said to have wielded the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. It has all the bonuses of the Mangekyo but no drawbacks. He would be over 100 years old and the Kyuubi says you have to kill him. Jiraiya explained and then questioned. Naruto nodded. He was now slightly afraid about what was to come. He figured to conquer one obstacle at a time though. You really are something. Let's see if this new chakra control helps you at all. Put in as much chakra as you did yesterday. Jiraiya ordered. Naruto nodded. Summoning jutsu. As soon as Naruto slammed his palm on the ground, a large puff of smoke erupted around him. Standing there was a giant toad, not as big as the famed Gamabunta, but still pretty big. It wore a large suit of battle armor with a single long blade on its back. Who has summoned me? The large toad tried to look around for the culprit. He looked on his head when he saw a young man. That was me. Naruto explained with joy in his voice. I see. The toad summoning contract has a new signature. You will have to summon Gamabunta-sama to finalize the deal. With that, the toad disappeared in an equally as big plume of smoke. Naruto turned to an awe-struck Jiraiya. If you put that much chakra into the jutsu yesterday and got a tadpole, just imagine how much unnecessary chakra you pump into your other jutsu. Jiraiya yelled while flapping his hands around wildly. Naruto nodded at the point, clearly happy with his newfound control. I know I am going to regret this, but summon Gamabunta. Put as much chakra as you can into the jutsu. The toad hermit mentally kicked himself for saying this. He really didn't want to deal with the toad today. Naruto grinned. You betcha. Naruto repeated the summoning and soon an enormous plume of smoke, easily dwarfing the last, appeared. When it cleared, there was a Miv toad with a blue cloak. He had a small, by his standards at least, sword and a lone scar down his eye. Naruto noticed he was smoking a pipe. Jiraiya, what is the meaning of this? The toad boss started, only to feel the presence of a human on his head. And he summoned me below, a little punk. When I find that little, before Gamabunta could list the clearly painful things he would do, Naruto interrupted. Actually, Gamabunta, sir, I summoned you. The blonde addressed towards the large toad. Gamabunta laughed at this. Ha, as if a little brat like you could have enough chakra to summon me. This infuriated Naruto. What did you say? I summoned you and that's final. Even ask Arrow Sennin. Naruto looked to see the Sannin noticeably absent. You've got balls, kid, yelling at me like that. Even if you did summon me, which you didn't, there is no way a little snot-nosed brat like you would ever be my henchman, let alone my master. Bunta laughed. Naruto was positively pissed now. Oh yeah, well I bet you that it was me who summoned you. I'd prove it to if there was a way. Gamabunta nodded. Summon me again. Then I'll believe you. The large frog was absolutely sure the kid would never be able to summon him, because he still didn't believe he did in the first place. Gamabunta then disappeared, leaving Naruto free-falling to the ground. He jumped to ground and huffed. The blonde then went through the summoning seals again. Soon enough he was standing face to face with Gamabunta. To say he was surprised would be like saying that Jiraiya was a closet pervert. He took a close look at the blonde and noticed one distinctive thing. He had 3 symmetrical whisker marks on his face. I'll be damned, it's the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Maybe he really did summon me. My god, he looks so much like Minato. I wonder, Gamabunta thought. I guess I misjudged you, kid. You can summon the toads and I hereby name you my henchman. Only summon me for 2 reasons, a good fight, or to have a drink. Naruto chuckled at this when the toad disappeared. Jiraiya soon appeared in a puff of smoke. Nice work, kid. I didn't expect you to be able to summon him twice. I guess we'll get to work on your new training a week before schedule. Here, Jiraiya said as he fed the young boy a water balloon. Forgetting his anger, Naruto looked at the balloon quizzically. Your goal is to pop the water balloon with only your chakra. You basically have to make what I showed you inside the balloon. Naruto remembered the spiraling ball of chakra Jiraiya had created 3 weeks ago. He nodded and started to spin his chakra. He saw the balloon start to move and got excited. He noticed after a while that nothing was happening. How come it's not popping? Naruto asked. Here, I'll demonstrate. Naruto tossed the water balloon to the Sannin, who proceeded to hold it in his palm. After a few moments, the balloon started to bulge wildly until it popped from all directions, leaving a neatly shredded balloon. Naruto looked at the shredded remains for a few moments. Why doesn't my balloon do this? Naruto asked himself. I think we should continue in the morning. You've been through a lot in these last 3 weeks, and the next 5 will be even rougher. Jiraiya explained. He was caught off guard as Naruto's balloon all of a suddenly popped just as his did. Yada. I did it. Naruto cheered as he jumped up and down. Jiraiya's jaw hit the floor. How did you? I saw that your balloon was going in every direction, so I figured that spinning the water in one direction would be wrong. I then decided to try multiple directions at the same time. Obviously it worked. I guess having good chakra control helps a lot, huh? Naruto sheepishly rubbed the back of his head. Jiraiya grinned at his student. If he could master the first step of the Rasengan in 1 day, he could easily master the whole thing in 3 to 4 weeks. He tried vainly to hide his astonishment. Well, that was good, but the next steps are much harder. Come here tomorrow and I'll explain it. Jiraiya explained as he fake yawned. Naruto knew he wasn't tired and that he just wanted to peep on girls, so he nodded and jumped home. With Sakura. Sakura lied on the ground, panting. She was thoroughly exhausted from the strenuous exercise her teacher was putting her through. The Pinkett did, however, understand her general need of improvement. Come on, Sakura, if you just give up like that you will never make Chunin. Kakashi smiled at his unfortunate student as he jogged up behind her. She nodded and grudgingly stood up. Over the last few weeks, Kakashi had been having her wear weights and do extremely strenuous workouts. The Scarecrow claimed it was to catch up on her clearly lacking taijutsu, and to gain the edge over Shikamaru at his worst area. Sakura believed he secretly just liked to see her suffer. She mentally cursed cruel teachers and prayed for child labor laws as she began jogging and dodging dull kunai being thrown at her courtesy of Kakashi. She really hoped it would all pay off in the end. 5 weeks later, day before Chunin exam finals. It appears we are ahead of schedule. A dark figure muttered to a room full of hazy figures. They all had one thing in common. They all were dressed in red cloaks with red clouds on them. Yes, indeed. We will start our move 3 years from today. We will start with the Jinchuriki of the Shukaku. The seemingly leader spoke. The other 8 nodded and disappeared. Day of the Chunin finals. Naruto walked to the stadium at a moderate pace. He was inwardly excited for his upcoming match with the Uchiha. He couldn't wait to wipe the floor with the kid. Naruto was happy about his accomplishments in the last 2 months. He had learned to summon, and learned the Rasengan. It had taken him exactly 4 weeks and 2 days to learn, but he couldn't be prouder of himself. He knew Sasuke didn't know any jutsu as strong as it. The blonde walked with a certain bounce in his step. He soon arrived at the stadium and looked in awe at the number of people in the audience. There must have been 30,000 people. He looked to see every participant in the finals standing in a row. He glared at Neji and merely skipped over Sasuke. He lingered a little at Temari and gazed at everyone else normally. Naruto. Sakura called as she came running towards the blonde. Naruto smiled at her. He looked her up and down and noticed she had kept her hair short. Naruto nodded at this, it was more practical. He also noted that she seemed to have a lot more muscle on her than she used to. The most surprising difference was the pair of tantos that were strapped in an X formation on her back. Hey Sakura. Naruto called back. So do you think you're ready? Sakura questioned her teammate. Naruto nodded and gave her a thumbs up. Heck yeah. Sasuke is as good as defeated already. Naruto grinned confidently. Sakura nodded but seemed a little unsure. They turned when they saw the proctor enter. Hello, my name is Shiranui Genma. I will be the proctor for the third and final round of the Chunin selection exams. The rules will be the same as in the preliminaries, meaning there are no rules. The only exception is when I call the match, it will be done. Clear. This earned him a group of nods. Thank you all for coming to the Chunin selection exams and please enjoy the show. Will all the participants except for Hyuga Neji and Rock Lee report to the competitors' seats? At this the group left, leaving just Lee and Neji standing facing each other. In the stands, the competitors could basically sit wherever they wanted within the 2 rows they were given. Tamari and Kankuro noticeably sat away from their brother, who opted to stand in the far corner. I'll be right back, I gotta piss. Kankuro stood up and walked away. Tamari rolled her eyes and continued to look down at the center. She didn't notice as a familiar blonde walked next to her. Is this seat taken? Naruto asked. Tamari immediately blushed. She started to panic before she answered. No. Go ahead and sit here. Tamari sputtered out. Naruto grinned and took the seat. Tamari kind of felt bad for kicking her brother out of a seat, but she got over it real quick. So how do you think you're going to do in your match? Tamari asked, trying to start a conversation. Well, I know Sasuke is no pushover. I think I'll be able to beat him though. I trained my butt off these last few months. Naruto grinned. How about you? My opponent uses long-range weapons and I am a wind user, so I believe I should win. She probably knows this and trained in an area that couldn't be deflected as easily, however. Tamari explained. Naruto nodded, having came to the same conclusion himself. Kankuro walked up and looked angrily at the blonde for a second. Move. Kankuro commanded harshly. Naruto looked questionable at Tamari. I thought you said this seat wasn't taken. This caused Kankuro to glare at his sister. It isn't. Tamari answered as she glared daggers at her younger brothers. Kankuro gulped, catching the glare. He knew that getting on the wrong side of an angry Tamari was almost as bad as being alone with Gaara. Almost. Naruto raised an eyebrow at the display but continued to make small talk with Tamari until the match was about to start. If both contestants are ready, I hereby call the first match of the final round of the Chunin selection exams to begin. Genma then body flickered out of the ring. Lee took his normal Goken stance. Neji, I've wanted to fight you since the day I was put on a team with you. Right here and now I will prove that hard work and determination will overcome natural-born talent any day. Lee cheered as he flashed Neji his nice guy pose. You really are a fool. I am fated to win this match. Neji's Byakugan stared into the black eyes of his longtime teammate for what seemed like an eternity. As if on some unspoken signal, the 2 fighters charged forward, intent on starting out strong. Before I begin, I would like to thank everyone for reviewing and reading. My story is almost to 30k hits already and over 100 reviews. I've been looking forward to this chapter for a while and I hope you enjoy it as well. Please read and review. Also be sure to check out the Yellow Flash of Kiri, my other story. Chunin Exam Stadium. Lee immediately tried to roundhouse kick Neji in his Leaf Hurricane. Neji, anticipating such a move, easily blocked it with his forearm. My Juken is practically useless to block his chakra points, although I can still damage his organs. This may be more challenging than I expected. Neji mused. Lee spun himself out of Neji's grip and jumped backwards. Give up. Fate is on my side. You are a fool for trying to defy fate. Neji stated calmly. Lee merely grinned. I disagree with you, Neji-kun. I will prove today that hard work and determination can defeat pure genius. You are a fool for underestimating me, Neji-kun, my eternal rival. The flames of youth burn brightly. Lee shouted as he settled back into his Goken stance. Neji narrowed his eyes. So be it. He then charged forward at high speeds, but nothing Lee wasn't ready for. He attempted to palm thrust Lee in his stomach, only for the green-clad ninja to block the wrist at the last second and sending a fist towards the Hyuga's face. As predicted, Neji blocked the fist and jukened Lee in the side. Lee doubled over in pain. The youthful ninja pushed himself back up, much to his body's protests. I will never give up. Lee yelled. Lee, take them off. Lee turned to see Guy giving him a sparkly smile. Lee gasped at this. But Guy-sensei, you told me never to take them off unless I was protecting my precious people or ninja way. Lee announced. This confused everyone present, even Lee's teammates. Hi Guy-sensei, I will make you proud. Lee then reached down and unstrapped his leg warmers, revealing leg weights. He took them off and held them parallel to the ground. I don't see what a couple pounds are going to do, Tenten muttered. Boom. This was the sound that was made when the two leg weights literally made craters in the ground. I stand corrected. Tenten gaped. I can move much more freely now. Lee smiled as he literally vanished into a blur. He reappeared no more than a second later in front of Neji, fist sailing into the Hyuga's face. Neji gaped as he was sent flying back into the wall. He got up and growled, before settling into his Juken stance. Byakugan. Neji growled as the veins around his eyes seemed to bulge out. Lee appeared in front of him again, but Neji was expecting it this time and managed to not only block Lee's attack, but to slip an attack in of his own. He struck Lee's chest with a Juken strike, narrowly missing the heart. Lee narrowed his eyes and sent Neji sailing away with a carefully aimed punch. I'll admit you are stronger than I thought. But you are still a failure, and once a failure, always a failure. Neji stated as he wiped blood from his mouth. He grunted through the pain and ran straight at his teammate. Foolish. Neji stated. You are within my range of division. This caused Hiyashi to openly gap. A branch member teaching himself the 64 palms was unheard of. 2 palms. Neji yelled as he struck with 2 finger strikes. 4 palms. 8 palms. 16 palms. 32 palms. 64 palms. Neji finally yelled as he struck all of Lee's chakra points. It's over. With all your chakra sealed, you won't even be able to move. Give up. Lee growled. I was hoping to use this on you. Neji, I have been saving this to be able to finally best you. Lee ignored his body's protests and stood up strong. Chakra started to whip around him wildly. Initial gate. Release. Lee's wounds immediately began to heal. His chakra levels began to rise astoundingly. Up in the stands, Kakashi turned to Guy. You taught him to open the gates. You know what that can do to a person. Kakashi berated his old-time rival. Sakura turned, curious. What are the gates? She asked. Kakashi turned to her. There are 8 celestial gates that restrict the flow of chakra in your body. By adding extreme amounts of pressure, one can open these gates to give them a tremendous boost. A normal person is able to use about 20% of the body's muscle. The gates work by forcing the body to use all of its muscle. If you go too high into the gates, your muscles will start to tear. The gates will give you a tremendous boost for a short amount of time. However, the effects of their body far outweigh the advantages. In a nutshell, if a person was to open the 8 gates, they can gain power beyond the cages, but the drawback, they would die. Sakura gasped at this and Guy nodded solemnly. I had to. You don't know Lee. You don't know how far he is willing to go for his dream. It is my responsibility to give him every bit of help I can in this. He will never give up. His dream is to show the world he can be a great ninja, even without the use of ninjutsu or genjutsu. Guy reasoned. How many can he open? Kakashi asked. Guy hesitated. 5. He can open 5. Guy responded. Kakashi's eyes widened in shock. What? Are you mad? Guy didn't respond. Lee didn't seem to be stopping any time soon. Heal gate. Release. The chakra continued to increase as Lee continued. Life gate. Release. Lee's skin started to glow orange and his veins bulged out and his chakra seemed to glow red. He then disappeared and knocked Neji back in a miv shockwave of energy. Neji stumbled up again as he rubbed his cheek from the blow. Lee then appeared below him and sent him sailing in the air with an upward kick. He then appeared behind his rival and delivered a menacing punch, sending him flying in the air, only to be intercepted by Lee again. This continued until Lee eventually sent Neji flying towards the ground, only for him to catch him by his bandages, pull him back and knock him back down in a shockwave. Neji knew impacting the ground at this rate would kill him, so he brought up all the chakra he had left and started to rotate. Rotation. He yelled as the shield of chakra crashed into the ground. The result kicked up enormous amounts of dust. When it cleared, it showed a bleeding and bruised Neji, unable to move. Lee stood on the other end, still in his Goken stance. Looking closer, you would see that he was too physically exhausted to remain conscious, yet he was still standing. Guy's eyes watered at the sight of this. Lee, you have proven yourself to be an excellent shinobi, worthy of the utmost respect. Even in the break of unconsciousness, you still stand up to fight. Guy shouted through tears. Guy-sensei, I've finally done it. I've proven that you don't need ninjutsu or genjutsu to be a great ninja. Lee yelled out as he ped out, falling onto his back. Due to neither combatant able to continue, I call this match a draw. Genma shouted. The crowd roared in approval, some still watery-eyed from Lee's determination. They had witnessed the Hyuga prodigy fought to a standstill by a no-named, dead last, who couldn't even use ninjutsu. It was definitely a match worth watching. That was definitely an entertaining match. One of the judges announced. Yes, both contestants show a lot of skill, however I don't believe either of them really deserves the rank. Perhaps next time, another said. It did seem there wasn't much planning on either side. The third agreed. Naruto grinned up in the stadium at the match. He definitely thought Lee was a strong opponent. Will Aburame Shino and Sabaku no Gaara please report to the stadium? Genma announced. Gaara grinned with visible bloodlust. Temari and Kankuro flinched, which didn't go unnoticed by Naruto. Shino looked as uninterested as ever, but inside he was getting ready for one hell of a fight. He'd seen what the sand user could do. If both contestants are ready, begin. Genma announced. I do hope you amuse me more than my last opponent did. Mother really wants blood today. Gaara grinned psychotically. If Shino was intimidated, he didn't show it. Shino's bugs swarmed out of his sleeves, intent on draining the chakra of the sand user. They went towards the sand user at high speeds. As soon as they got within a foot, a wall of sand rose to defend Gaara. The bugs tried to absorb the chakra from the sand, but died as soon as they were exposed to the demonic chakra. This is very illogical. If my bugs are no use against him, I don't have any other options. He won't stop before I'm dead. I guess I'll have to concede. Proctor. I concede. Shino stated. Gaara growled as he grabbed his head. I'm sorry, mother. I will get you your blood, I promise. He yelled out, scaring the crap out of the rest of the people. Naruto turned to Temari. Your brother seems kind of insane. Naruto pointed out. You don't know the half of it. She muttered. Naruto frowned but didn't pester. With Aburame Shino admitting defeat, I hereby announce Sabaku no Gaara the winner. The audience noise wasn't nearly as loud after this. In fact, most of them were on the verge of soiling themselves after the display from the red-headed teen. The next match will be between Haruno Sakura and Nara Shikamaru. Genma announced. Up in the cage's deck, Sarutobi looked toward the cage. Your son seems very unstable. He is. Was all the cage said in return. If both contestants are ready, let the match begin. Troublesome. I have to fight against a girl again. Shikamaru muttered as he bashed his head into his hand. Sakura growled at this. What did you say? She growled as she cracked her knuckles. Shikamaru was immediately analyzing the situation. Sakura looked to have done some serious training over the last 2 months. She had put on more muscle and looked much more serious. She even had twin tantos on her back. He knew this match wouldn't be very easy. Sakura knew she wasn't going to get a response, so she pulled out a sealing scroll. Shikamaru eyed the scroll wearily as Sakura smeared her blood on it. Water clone jutsu. Sakura announced as 5 water clones appeared to the side of her. Shikamaru narrowed his eyes. She sealed water into a scroll to use for her jutsu. Interesting. With this thought, Shikamaru extended his shadow, trying to catch the group of Sakuras. As the shadow approached, the group of 6 jumped separately. Shikamaru mumbled a troublesome at this. He didn't know which one to try and catch. The Sakuras grinned as they charged in, faster than Shikamaru expected from the supposed weakest genin. He threw 6 kunai at the clones, only for every one of them to dodge. Shikamaru once again extended his shadow, catching one of the Sakuras. It smirked before it burst into water. A second Sakura appeared behind it, capitalizing on the new source of water. Water Dragon Jutsu. Sakura yelled as an enormous dragon appeared behind her. The dragon spun protectively around her before it shot at amazing speeds at the lazy genius. Stands. Kakashi grinned at the looks of shock plastered on the rest of the rookies' faces, even Naruto's. Sakura had learned an A-ranked water jutsu. They had all counted her as a weakling, and she was proving them wrong. Back on battle floor, Shikamaru narrowly dodged the jutsu. He knew if it had hit, he'd be finished. Sakura stood panting. She had expected to win with that. Her chakra reserves, while not nearly as low as they had been, were still only average genin, and she only had enough chakra for a single water dragon. Shikamaru noticed Sakura's apparent tiredness and sent out his shadow to try and capture her. She dodged backwards until the shadow suddenly abruptly stopped. A look of realization plastered itself onto her face. I see. Your shadow jutsu has a limit. If I just stay behind this line, I will be out of your range. Sakura confirmed as she marked a line with one of her tantos. Shikamaru closed his eyes and put his hands into his thinking pose. A few minutes later, Shikamaru's eyes lazily fluttered open as an idea popped into his head. He needed to stall. Troublesome woman. You're almost as bad as Ino. Shikamaru purposely taunted. A vein appeared in Sakura's head. What was that? Oh, you are so dead. Sakura ran forward until she was about to pee the line. She, however, stopped and looked down. The pinkett figured Shikamaru's intentions were to get her to cross the line. She smirked when she just stood there. Ha, I guess I figured you out, huh? Sakura asked. Shikamaru feigned a look of annoyance as he created his shadow. The shadow, however, ped the line and just about got Sakura. If it wasn't for her quick reflexes, she would have been a goner. How? She muttered. The wall's shadow. Sakura shouted when the answer came to her. Stands. I think Sakura's got your student beat, Asuma. Kakashi looked to the chain-smoking Jonin. Asuma merely smoked. I wouldn't count Shika out yet. He is always 10 steps ahead of his opponent. Asuma finished. Match. Sakura made another mark in the ground with her tanto. She then fired a group of shuriken at the lazy ninja, which we deflected by a kunai in his hand. She would use jutsu, but her reserves desperately needed to recharge from the water dragon. Sakura took out a kunai and was about to throw it, when she discovered she couldn't move. What? How? Sakura asked as she found Shikamaru's shadow connected to her from the back. The Shikamaru in front of her faded away. This revealed it to be just a clone. When you looked away, I switched myself with a clone. Since then I waited until you fell into my trap. It's over. Shikamaru moved his right arm to his neck. This arm just happened to be the same arm Sakura had a kunai in. Give up or I will slit your throat. Shikamaru threatened. Although Sakura was almost positive he was bluffing, she gave up regardless. I give up, she grudgingly announced. The winner is Nara Shikamaru. Genma announced. The audience roared in approval at the long, but interesting match. It was more of a battle of wits than raw power. Sakura sighed as she walked back up the stairs. On her way she ped Naruto. Great job out there, Sakura. I didn't know you were so good. The blonde praised. Sakura nodded. Thanks. I hope I did well enough to be promoted to Chunin. She trailed off. I'm sure you did. I'm up next. Wish me luck. Naruto grinned as he walked past her. She nodded and remembered who he was up against. Uchiha Sasuke. Will Uchiha Sasuke and Uzumaki Naruto please report to the field? Genma announced. The crowd immediately went deathly silent. It wasn't every day the village pariah fought the last Uchiha. Many people had come to the Chunin exam solely to see the Uchiha fight. The two contestants were soon standing across from each other. Sasuke hadn't changed his look at all in the last few months. He still wore his blue shirt and white shorts, and he was still as stuck up as ever. You should just give up. You stand no chance against an Uchiha like me. Sasuke, helpfully, pointed out. Naruto grinned. It's gonna be priceless to see that smirk wiped off your face when I kick your. He proclaimed. Sasuke merely growled back. Let the match begin, Genma announced. Sasuke immediately charged forward, intent on getting the early upper hand. He attempted a straight jab, only for the blonde to duck under it and land a knee to his gut. Sasuke growled and went through a set of seals. Fire release. Grand Fireball Jutsu. Sasuke exhaled an enormous ball of fire that went flying towards Naruto. Naruto went through hand seals of his own. Wind release. Wind Dragon Jutsu. A dragon made of sharp wind blades roared and went flying towards Sasuke's fireball. The two attacks met in the middle and cancelled each other out in a fierce blast, knocking the two competitors back. When the smoke cleared, Naruto was already charging Sasuke. He attempted to sweep the raven-haired boy's legs out, only for Sasuke to jump over his leg and plant a firm fist in the blonde's gut. Naruto jumped backwards to regain his breath. He didn't have long as Sasuke was already racing through a set of hand seals. He took a deep breath. Fire release. Phoenix Flower Jutsu. 5 small balls of fire shot out at Naruto. Naruto narrowed his eyes as he finished his own jutsu. Wind release. Great breakthrough. The blast of wind easily deflected the small fireballs and sent the hidden shuriken flying back towards Sasuke. Sasuke narrowed his eyes and dodged the shuriken. It's time to get serious. He closed his eyes and reopened them to reveal the famed Sharingan. Naruto narrowed his eyes and charged forward, not knowing what difference the eyes would make. He attempted to punch the Uchiha, only to get backhanded before he could even connect his punch. He growled as he continued to try to hit his opponent, only to experience similar results of blocking, dodging, and counter-attacks. Weakling. There is no way a clan-less loser like you can defeat an Uchiha. You're a weakling, your friends are weaklings and your teachers are weaklings. Do you honestly think you could become Hokage? As if. I know. How about I become Hokage? You wouldn't even be here if you didn't have that smelly mud as your opponent in the first round. Sasuke smirked. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto glared. It means you got it easy facing such a weak opponent. I, however, am not weak. Sasuke mocked. If looks could kill, Sasuke would have died 1,000 times over. You can insult me all you want. I can tolerate it. You can even insult my dream and I'll tolerate it. But when you insult my friends, you cross the line. I was just planning on humiliating you. Not anymore. I'm going to utterly destroy you now. Naruto had a look of dead seriousness on his face. As if. Sasuke growled as he flipped backwards and landed on stadium wall. He then went through 3 hand seals before grabbing his wrist. Lightning erupted from his palm in a very familiar jutsu. Stadium crowd. Guy turned to Kakashi. You taught him that jutsu? Kakashi looked just as shocked. No, I didn't. I haven't even talked to the kid yet. He knows my sole original jutsu. The scarecrow seemed to get angrier as he continued. Then how could he have learned it? Kurenai butted in. I'm not sure. Kakashi answered, but inward he was thinking he knew who the suspect was. Danzo. In another part of the crowd, Danzo smirked as he watched Sasuke perform the jutsu he had given him. Back on battlefield, Naruto narrowed his eyes at the use of the Chidori. It was his sensei's personally jutsu. Sasuke had never been with them on a mission, so it left 2 options. He had stolen it, or Kakashi had taught him it. Naruto highly doubted it was the latter because he knew Kakashi didn't like the kid at all. The blonde Jinchuriki then smirked and held out his right palm. Soon chakra started to pick up before it started to spin into a sphere shape. The chakra looked like a mini hurricane in a ball. Crowd. Tamari gaped at the jutsu the two were performing. What kind of jutsu are those? She asked her wide-eyed sensei. Sensei. He shook himself from his shock-induced absence of mind. Those are both extremely powerful as CLI Nation Jutsu. The lightning one is called the Chidori. It is the one and only original jutsu of the infamous copy Nin. The one on the right is a creation of the Yondaime Hokage himself. It is called the Rasengan. Temari gawked at the stories behind the two jutsu. If Leaf was full of ninja like this, she wasn't so sure about their odds. Kakashi stood shocked at this sudden revelation. Naruto knew the Rasengan. Sasuke knew his Chidori. He did one thing no one who knew him would ever think he would do. He dropped his book and fainted. Sasuke brought the jutsu to the side of the wall and carved a long trench into the wall as he ran down towards his blonde-haired enemy. Naruto merely created a shadow clone. The shadow clone hurled him into the air, so he met with Sasuke as both thrust their respective jutsu at the other. Chidori. Rasengan. The two jutsu met in a power deadlock as both fought for superiority. The sheer amounts of wild, untamed chakra made a blinding light around the two fighters. Soon enough an explosion knocked both the genin back as their jutsu cancelled each other out. Sasuke glared at the blonde for cancelling out his trump card. Naruto was now beyond pissed. Let me get this straight. First you insult me. Then you insult my friends. Then you insult me Dream. You then insult my sensei by stealing his original jutsu. This caused gasps from the crowd. Enough is enough. I'm going to absolutely humiliate you in front of thousands of people. He turned to his teammates and smirked. The crowd was in for a show. What could you possibly do? Both our trump cards are revealed. Sasuke stated matter-of-factly. Naruto merely grinned. Before Sasuke could blink, Naruto disappeared into thin air. He reappeared a millisecond later and delivered a power punch to the Uchiha's face, sending him flying backwards. Before Sasuke could brace himself, Naruto disappeared and reappeared behind Sasuke. He sent him flying upwards with an uppercut. Once again Naruto jumped above him and delivered a flying axe kick, sending him flying into the ground. What the hell? Sasuke gasped out as the wind was knocked out of him. Naruto then jumped to his original position. This all took place in about 5 seconds. What did you do? Sasuke asked weakly. Naruto grinned. It's my bloodline limit. I call it jumping. This shocked the crowd. The boy had the ability to teleport place to place and claimed it was a bloodline. Sasuke is unable to continue. Uzumaki Naruto is the winner. Genma announced. The crowd was dead silence for a whole minute until a single man rose up and started to clap. He was followed by more and more people until the entire audience was roaring with approval. The Uchiha heir had been beaten, no humiliated by the village pariah. In the cage's booth Orochimaru licked his lips. That ability, I must have it. If the Kyuubi didn't already infest that boy, I'd mark him as my own. Orochimaru thought. Is something the matter? Sarutobi asked, seeing the cage starring. It's your shinobi. That is a very interesting ability, no doubt. Orochimaru covered for himself. Sarutobi nodded, obviously accepting that answer. Yes indeed. It is his Kekai Genkai that only shows up every 10 generations. It allows Naruto to teleport anywhere he's ever been, or anywhere he can see. Sarutobi answered. Orochimaru licked his lips under his veil. Temari looked wide-eyed at Naruto when he sat back down. Naruto noticed the starring and immediately rubbed the back of his head. Hee, I told you I'd beat him. He grinned. Temari blushed and nodded. She immediately hardened, knowing her match was up next and that she would have to forfeit it. Will Sabaku no Temari and Tenten of Konoha please report to the field? Genma called. Tenten grinned and made her way down, only to be stopped at Temari's announcement. Proctor. I forfeit. Temari yelled. This surprised pretty much everybody, including Naruto. Temari, why'd you quit without even fighting? Naruto asked. Temari looked down in shame and mumbled something. What was that? Naruto asked. I said I'm sorry. As soon as those words left her lips, glowing feathers started to fall down into the crowd, putting everyone who couldn't dispel genjutsu into a deep sleep. Naruto growled as he dispelled the genjutsu. What's going on? He yelled as Temari, Kankuro and Gaara all left to a quieter place for Gaara to transform. Naruto didn't know where they were going or what was going on, but he was sure of two things. Number 1. Konoha was being invaded, and number 2, he wouldn't let the Sand siblings get away. Naruto immediately took off at full speed after the Sunanin. Kakashi growled, Kiba, Sakura, find as many genin as you can and go after them. Kakashi ordered. Kiba and Sakura nodded and took off to find some more genin. They ended up recruiting Shino and Shikamaru. They would have got Sasuke, but he was currently too injured to fight. Naruto continued to pursue the three siblings until the three suddenly stopped. Kankuro turned around and revealed his puppet, Crow. Temari, take Gaara and go on ahead. I'll take care of Blondie here. Kankuro motioned for his sister to leave. Temari shot a sad glance at Naruto before she took off with Gaara. Naruto tried to follow, only to barely dodge a poisoned attack from Crow. Your battle is with me, Kankuro stated. Naruto growled as he dodged another swipe from the puppet. He jumped to Kankuro's position and attempted to land a punch on the older boy. Kankuro, having expected this, dodged at the last moment. Naruto narrowed his eyes and was about to create a Rasengan when he felt four presences behind him. They were very familiar presences. I will stall the enemy. You three go and stop Gaara. Shino pointed out logically. Naruto nodded and was immediately hopping through the trees, followed closely by Kiba, Sakura and Shikamaru. Soon enough they arrived to see Temari standing next to a large sphere of sand. She looked unsure about something. What is he doing? Kiba asked. Temari didn't answer as she sent a powerful blast of wind at the four. Kiba, Naruto and Shikamaru dodged, but unfortunately for Sakura she was sent flying back into a tree. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Whatever he's doing, I'm gonna stop it. Distract her. Naruto suddenly held out his palm as a ball of chakra spiraled into existence. Temari's eyes widened. She couldn't let him hit Gaara's sand shield with that. She was about to intercept Naruto, when she all of a sudden heard Fang over Fang. The Suna girl barely dodged twin tornadoes as they burst through a tree. Kiba and Akamaru nodded towards Naruto, who nodded back. Naruto jumped in front of Gaara's shield as he reared his palm back. Rasengan, he yelled as he plunged the ball into Gaara's shield. The shield held strong for about a second until the Rasengan started to overpower it and shredded a hole in the middle. Gaara watched helplessly as the ball stopped an inch away from his face. I think I got him. Naruto yelled as he tried to pull fist back. He felt a large hand clamp on his arm. Crap. The blonde Jinchuriki panicked as he pulled with all his strength and pulled his arm free. Out of the hole in the sand Naruto could clearly see what he could only describe as a demon's arm. The sand shield slowly crumbled to reveal Gaara. Gaara had half of his face looking like a tonki made out of sand. He also had a single demonic arm. Mother wants your blood, Uzumaki. Gaara screamed as he batted the blonde with his arm. Naruto adjusted himself in mid-air and landed on a faraway branch. Gaara, please don't kill him. Temari pleaded to her younger brother, or what used to be her younger brother. You're useless. Gaara growled as he batted his sister away. Temari was flying full speed and headed straight for a tree. So this is how it ends. She opened her eyes when she found herself hitting something soft. The blonde-haired girl saw that her savior was none other than Naruto. He flashed her a face-splitting grin. Don't worry, Temari-chan, I'll take him down. Naruto whispered in the girl's ear. He set her down and focused on Gaara. You would kill your own sister like that? That's wrong on so many levels. Your family. Naruto shouted. Gaara merely flashed a psychotic grin. Family. I never considered either of those two my family. They are worthless. They are weak. The demon-possessed boy shouted right back as he reared his arm back. Suna Shuriken. Gaara yelled as he shot a round of sand shuriken at Naruto. Naruto dodged out of the way and jumped behind Gaara. He attempted to deliver a punch to the Tonki's back, only for sand to erupt from the back and wrap around him. This is bad, Naruto thought as he looked at his teammates. He could swear he heard a deep howling laughter in his head.